City Council Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole met in Council Chamber on Tuesday, May 30th at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the matters listed below. Notice of this meeting was posted on May 11th at 12:59 p.m. This meeting is being recorded. In attendance, we have, where actually Councilor Dibble is absent, but otherwise we have all the members of...
Good timing.
Oh, all members are present. We also have Councilor Miller from the Committee of the Whole here, as well as Sarah Stanton, the Finance Director. We have Dominic Pangallo from the Mayor's Office. We have Eileen Sacco taking minutes. We have, let's see, we have several directors. We have Nina Bridgman, the Assistant Finance Director. We have Dave Knowlton, the Engineering and DPW Director, Jenna Ide, Meredith McDonald, Trish O'Brien, Kim Emmerling, and Tara Mansfield as well.
Wow, it's like a quiz, you got it right.
Wow.
I know my people. And also this is being recorded on SATV. The subjects for tonight, we have the FY18 budget meetings and the capital improvement plan. So when we do discuss each of the different departments, if we could also look at the capital improvement plan as that relates to that department, that would be recommended and be great. We did have a request from the Veterans Affairs Director that if we can just take him first, and I think if it's all right with the committee to just take the smaller departments out of order, and we can just get them in and out and over. So
Dave Knowlton, you go first. You're the smallest one.
Okay, so the Veterans Affairs is
24.
Section 24. And so if anybody just has any questions, and I don't know, Sarah, if you want to give the overviews, or if Kim, you want to do the overviews.
Sure. So you guys are pros on administration and finance. I know several of you have done it before. And all of you have been either counselors for a short period of time or a long period of time. So in the effort of efficiency, I think we will have each department head come up. You have their budgets in front of you. If you have any questions relating to any specific line item, please feel free to ask. Kim does not have any items in the capital improvement plan, so we don't need to refer to that. But otherwise, any questions that you have for our veterans agent? Aside from the fact, how did he sweet talk all of his colleagues to go first?
Well, I simply asked, but I sincerely appreciate it.
Did any committee members, Councilor Lovely?
I have a question. It looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, that you requested $98,830 and $93,000, and you got 97. Am I accurate, Finance Director?
Yep, so the department request did not include any personnel increases. Kim Emmerling, much like you'll see with several of our non-union department heads, were below the salary survey. The mayor has proposed, I believe it's a 7% increase for the veteran service agent, which is reflected in that increase. Just a couple of housekeeping things that might be helpful. Union employees are all receiving a 0.5% on the start of the FY18 fiscal year. We are in contract negotiations as all of their collective bargaining agreements expire on June 30th, 2017. So we're in the process of negotiating for that. All non-union employees have received a base increase of 2.5%. There are several other non-union management employees that are getting beyond 2.5%. Councilor Dibble has asked for a list for that. I'm going to take I've been in meetings all afternoon this afternoon, so I'm going to take some time to prepare that, and I'll have that for tomorrow night's meeting. It'll be a breakdown. So yep, that's the discrepancy. So if you have questions as we go along, the union is 0.5%, the non-union is 2.5%. I'm assuming we're going to settle at a very similar amount for the union, but we're still in contract negotiations now.
Okay.
Long-winded answer to a short question.
It's nice to see you come in asking for a certain amount and you get more. That's a rarity. I guess my question is to the finance director: are there any other sources of funds that are paid for this department? In other words, from general revenue, if I were to look and want to know exactly what was spent in this or any other department, are there other sources of funding that pay for carryover.
Yeah, so there's some carryover funding that would be accounted for at the start of the year, but Kim's budget is solely general fund. When you get into some of Dave's budgets, you'll see a split between the different enterprise funds. If there's a split between general and enterprise fund, it typically will be reflected on the bottom. This does not account for any grants that Kim might go for over the course of the year, which we can do an accounting for any grants that Kim has received, but this is all general fund revenue.
So there's nothing in this, is his particular budget is paid for out of another budget, or?
I don't think so, no. Nope.
Okay. Is that the case for all the budgets?
Again, it depends on the budget. So with the COA, some of the money is paid out of a whole range of funds. It could be a grant, it could be from usership fees for water, sewer, trash, engineering. It could be based on the enterprise fund. We highlight that in every budget. So if there's an alternative source of funding, whether it be that the harbor master is partially paid out of footprint funds, it'll show that. If the planning department, someone's paid out of a portion of their salary CDBG, we have a couple of those in COA where a portion, I think drivers guys, yes, in Park and Rec where it's CDBG, but it's all highlighted in each budget. So if you are Counselor Lovely, you're paid partially general fund, partially CDBG, it'll say that in the budget.
Okay, you've given me some information last fall or earlier this year, and you're going to provide that, I asked.
Yeah, we just ran that
No,
report
it's fine.
tonight. Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to be able to determine is what's being paid per
So everything,
per department, so that I can see through that information that I'm
Yeah.
asking for, that that's all the money that's being spent in that department.
yep, so that's all the money that's being
Okay.
spent in this department. Yep,
Thanks.
sure.
Another member of the committee? Questions? Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple questions in general that we can take up later as well, but I just want to commend Kim on the job that he does in his department. We had a wonderful parade that most of us attended yesterday, and you did a phenomenal job helping orchestrate that coming through. The ceremony at Green Lawn paid a lot of respect to our veterans, which is all it's due to all of them. So again, nice job, congratulations. It's only appropriate that you're the first one here immediately following yesterday's ceremonies. So you're getting off easy today, I think.
I know, and I appreciate that. So.
Madam Chair, maybe you can help answer my question a little bit better. I talked to Sarah earlier on former councilors Todd Siegel's recommendation to have a line item, and it has nothing to do with the Veterans Office, so I apologize for taking up your time on this. But there was supposed to be a line item for the variance from this year to last year, in each year. Our financing director informed me that Councilor Siegel did not have the support from the council or the committee, where I thought that it was part of the process. Can you fill me in on that? Where are we with that line item variance?
So Counselor Siegel wasn't a member of the committee and had inquired about this, and no other member of the committee in previous committees had ever requested this or ever had supported this request, so we didn't go any further with it.
I'm kind of curious why. It would seem to be very helpful, and not knowing the discussion that took place back then, but to see the difference from this year's budget to last year's budget. It would make sense. I think it's very easy for...
There is, but you can see the difference between this year's budgets. On all of the cover sheets, it shows all of the items, the FY16 expenditures, the adopted budget for 17, the adjusted budget for 17, the year-to-date expenses, and the department. And I mean, it's frankly, it's simple math, just to quickly do a quick calculation, and they do a fantastic job of putting asterisks wherever there's changes between the department and the mayoral recommendations, and it's again, it's a simple equation.
Yeah, I agree, it's a simple equation, but it's times
Calculation.
hundreds and hundreds of line items, thousands of line items.
Right, and where there's, I mean, other members of the committee can speak to this, but where there's already all these other
If I may,
items.
if I may, let's get back to Kim if we can, because, well, let's talk about this a little bit later when all the departments are done, if we can.
Okay. Were there any other questions for Kim?
No,
Oh, okay, you-
I'm all set with the Veterans Office. I think they do a great job.
Counselor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Kim, I'll echo the comments. Kim, you do a fabulous job. I don't have a problem with your budget. I mean, you're worth every penny that we pay you and for the services that you provide for the veterans throughout the city. As anyone can see, that the line item for non-expenses hasn't gone up one penny, so that you're staying with, so obviously this year you found that the numbers from last year work, so you're putting forth almost the exact same numbers, which yes, you have, and therefore, so there's no increase in the non-personnel expenses. The only increases is a increase in your salary reflective of what the salary survey says, so you're getting a little more than the 2.5%, well-deserved, and I have no problem with this whatsoever. I believe if there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Madam Chair, at this time, there's no further discussion. I'm making a motion that we approve the Veteran Services Personnel Budget in the amount of $109,084.
Second.
So $109,084. Okay. Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Steve?
Yeah,
I further
I'll let you know if I'm opposed.
Okay.
I further move that the Veteran Services expenses in the total of $522,709.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed?
I further move for the approve for the total, for the department total in the amount of $631,793.
Okay, all those in favor? I'm sorry, wait, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, great.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much.
So can I just say one thing? I know you voted, and I sincerely appreciate it, but I just wanted to thank the council and the city again for last year when I sat here, I requested a full-time assistant or the part-timer to become full-time, and the city and the council saw the beauty in that, and it certainly has paid off in our department, my small department here. So we've managed to get a couple other things done in the city. Of course, the 380th muster this year, historic mark, turned out to be
Historic weather.
historic weather, and turned out to be a great success. You know, we had some high rollers here that came in with the National Guard Bureau Chief, as well as the governor, of course, and the mayor. So, and then, of course, last year the only capital improvement plan that I had was to get a vehicle that had been sitting there for a couple of years, and it finally came to fruition last year. So, again, that is a great asset to the veterans in the community, and we are one of the few communities that offer that to our veterans. Some others are starting to do it and doing it different ways, but that's a huge success for us, and I know all the veterans in the community appreciate that. So. Again, with a little extra time, we've managed to pull off getting all the squares online, and you'll see it in the paper coming up here. Again, another request for additional information on any of those that people might know of that I don't have any information on, and I haven't been able to locate it. But we're getting better and better at that, and already today I had probably had 6 emails from some from Utah and California that had read that and offered up some information on some unmarked or unrecognized veterans. So again, it's just turned out to be a great thing. And then moving forward, as we mark the 100th anniversary of World War I, we've got some people, volunteers, working together to try and recognize, and we will recognize those from Salem that left and of course lost their lives in that conflict. So. Again, I love this job. I love working for the city, and I, of course, love working for the veterans, and I appreciate everything the council and the city has done. So, thank you.
Well said.
Thank you, Kim. And we're lucky to have you. All the veterans that I ever talk to, even younger veterans, they're all very, very happy with you. So.
Well, good. I appreciate that. And again, thank you for letting me go first.
We'll remember this, Kim.
I will. No, I already owe somebody lunch. Thanks.
You owe Beth lunch.
And let the record reflect that the mayor joined us. Should we just, I guess, go backwards and just go to the library next? and then go council on aging, then do park and rec.
Section 23?
Yes, please.
Madam Chair, do you have another schedule for today? Schedule that you're working off of?
I just have the one that I printed
On the
off for
front of the
myself.
book, and I marked it off of the email that came to us. Go to the front of the book.
Council on Aging should go with the
Took up one page.
Council on Aging should go with the Park and Recreation Department.
Yeah, part of that.
This is out of table of contents.
Hi, Tara.
So the next one is, Tuesday, the next one is library, which is section 23.
Okay, on to the library. So who wants to start?
Well, thank you very much. The library is continuing our mission to serve the residents of Salem and all our visitors. There are no significant changes in terms of staffing or anything else. We're just going to keep doing what we can as efficiently as possible.
I just add a couple of points. I serve on the library board of trustees ex officio as the mayor, and I want to commend Tara and her team. Each year, the library ranks among our highest departments in terms of customer satisfaction on the annual survey that we complete, and offers some of the highest circulation rates north of Boston. I think Reading has recently kind of upticked. They put the game face on. We used to be the #1 in circulation. Reading recently invested in a beautiful, actually brand new library facility there, and they're seeing an uptick in activity. But the library continues to be a place that has high circulation rates in terms of the North of Boston Library Exchange, and offers just superior quality service. And I think it speaks to the fact that we have no parking at the library, yet it is one of the most visited places and has some of the highest circulation counts. We have made significant investments in the physical structure, both through CPA dollars and through the CIP. So over the course of the last couple of years, we've really invested in the preservation of the building, both from waterproofing and repointing and new roofs, new lintels. There's been a number of structural upgrades. We are really, focused on trying to look at some interior upgrades. If you've been into a newer library setting, as I have been in Reading, there's definitely some nice amenities that they have, and it would be nice for us to sort of look at what are some of the areas that need some refreshing in our library, whether it's interior furnishings, carpet, things like that. We hope to be able to work with the Library Board of Trustees to take a look at some of those areas. But I just want to commend Tara and the team there for the outstanding work that they provide to all of our residents. Frankly, anybody who goes through that door. For many folks who struggle to find a safe, stable home environment, the library ends up being a place that they spend a lot of time. People who are job searching, we find a lot of the times, use the library as their resource area, and I think the library deals with everyone in a respectful and courteous manner, and just really appreciate that as well.
I would also note there's $180,000 in capital improvement upgrades that you'll find in section 7, $80,000 for HVAC upgrades and $100,000 for structural upgrades. So if you have questions on that, there are also 2 capital items.
In section 7?
Section 7 is the capital budget, yep.
Oh,
And then you also have your separate book as well.
Okay. Councilor Fury.
I just got back in Salem Public Library a few minutes ago. I got out of work, went straight down to Salem Public Library, and got what I needed. And I had the pleasure of working there for 6 years, before your time. Many moons ago, I would say. But I had the pleasure of working 6 years at the Salem Public Library. It's an old, challenging, historical building. The Community Preservation Act has been like manna from heaven to allow that to be restored and fixed up to its dignity. But the outside grounds are so beautiful all year round, all year round. The brickwork, the maintenance outside, you do a nice job of snow all year round, your maintenance staff. And the building itself is a beautiful jewel of learning for all people, all generations. And it's so friendly to go into. The best part is not necessarily the building. I love the building, having worked there. It's the people that work there. They're so refreshing to go into. They're so enthusiastic. They try to meet your needs. And I was in and out, got what I wanted, and thank you very much. And you have a great team, top down, from you all the way down in your team. I miss those days. I was a school librarian for 20 years. I love library science there. But it's really taken forward into the 21st century, and you reinvented yourself. You could use more space, even in fact, for computers. If you had spent more space, you'd have more room for more computers, because that place is really busy. Every day you open, all generations. So it's a facility meant for all seasons, morning, noon, and night. And it's a great place for all people. So thank you and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. Just running through real quick. I mean, your budget looks great, and I commend you for the work that you do and your staff. The only real changes, I mean, other than in the library expenses, a couple $100 here and there for custodial stuff, the biggest expense is books. Is that something you're mandated to do in order to meet the requirements of, to keep us at the status we like?
Yes, it's a municipal appropriation requirement, so we're meeting that.
So that the biggest, when anybody looks at the total library expenses going up by 5%, the biggest incurred cost in that is the mandate to buy more books, to have more books on hand.
Correct, yeah.
Perfect. Other than that, I have no issues at all.
I'm sorry?
I have no issues at all.
Any further questions from committee members? Councilor Dibble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to echo the mayor's comments on what an amazing and wonderful library that we have. The staff over there is phenomenal. I spend a lot of time popping in and out. You see me run in and run back out pretty frequently. And it's not, I don't sit there and read, but I run and grab my books and run right back out again. So the mayor's comments were right on the money. The staff is wonderful. The place is always spotless. The grounds are manicured. The custodians do a wonderful job. I always see them tinkering and picking up everything, and every piece of sand, everything is spotless. It's a pleasure to go into the library. But I see it a little bit differently. The library recruited me about 3 years ago, to come and move my chess club into the library. And I said, that's a great idea. I never realized how good it was going to be. There are so many kids now. I think we had 28 students this year, and so many more coming at you next year. A whole bunch of kindergartens this year showed up. But your staff went above and beyond and got additional chess books and other things to help make the program that much better on their own without me asking. And the parents, I've heard so many compliments from the parents of your library. I have absolutely no issues with this budget at all. I've looked at each line item and I'm amazed that you're not asking for more. I really am, because our library is phenomenal and you seem to do it on bare bones. I did attend a library trustees meeting last month. Sat through this whole thing, and I like your approach, your whole committee, the whole board of trustees. Their approach to having a world-class library, top-notch. They talked about the building, the grounds, everything in that meeting, but they're also pinching pennies at the same time to do everything that they do on a low budget. So I thank you and the trustees for your effort.
Then I guess I'll just echo some of those sentiments that whenever I have to present appropriations that are specific to like your HVAC system and something like that, that I'm always promoting. I hate to use the word arguing, but strongly supporting the library because of the great experience it gives so many people.
Thank you.
Is there some things that are not in your...
Councilor
I'm
Dibble?
sorry, I apologize. I'm just excited for the library to be here. If I may? And I apologize again to the chair for just jumping up like that, but are there things that are not within your budget that you want to do that we can maybe consider for next year? I don't expect an answer now, but think about that going forward. If there are ways that we can help make us the #1 library outside of Boston, I guess. Okay? That's where I want to be with your library. Let us know.
Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing if there's no other questions, my only state that the good counsel next to me should have been you should have been in these chairs the year they tried to cut the library budget. If there's no other questions, I move to approve library personnel a total of $1,015,251.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? That matter carries. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I further move that we approve library expenses in the total of $309,829.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I further move that we approve the department total for the library in the amount of $1,325,080.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Great team.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Terry.
We'll see you Tuesday all winter. For chess club. 22.
We'll go to Park and Rec and Council on Aging. How's that? Council McCarthy?
Madam Chair, at this time, I need to recuse myself, at least for the
Park and Rec.
Park and Rec, the portion, just Park and Rec, and Council on Aging. But the Witch House, the rest of it, I can come back.
Let's get a chair from there. We'll pull up one without wheels. Right next to Sarah. Yeah. And speech Trish. Thanks, Dominic. Section
22, Rob?
21.
21?
Are we going to start with Park and Rec or Council on Aging, Counselor?
Should we get council on, how do you want to do it? Do you want to just go backwards and go to 22 or just start it?
Yeah, why don't we do
Okay.
Council on Aging? That way Meredith wants to get the heck out of here. Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. Yeah, because last year we kept Meredith a very long time.
22, and also note that there is a request in the capital improvement budget for a van for the Council on Aging.
Just before we get started with the overall budget, I just want to point out that the Council on Aging budget, we anticipate a couple of adjustments to this. We've had some discussions about a couple of the individuals who are working in the COA who we feel are falling below the salary survey line items. In particular, our transportation director, and maybe one other position in that regard. We think we may have some funding in this year's budget because we've had some vacancies to allow for that uptick. We didn't want to bring that into you, but I do want to call it out that we've had some, I think, some fruitful discussions as the budget was getting wrapped up about how we could better support some of the individuals who are just killing it down there in terms of time and attention to detail, and are falling below the salary survey guidelines that we've seen with respect to, you know, communities, like-minded positions in other communities. So we'll definitely share that with the council prior to us finalizing all these budget cycles, but it came to light kind of late in the process, and we think we've got some funding this year that we should be able to carry over to make those adjustments.
And Councilor Lovely, to your point, if you look on the section 8, page 267, you'll see the breakdown of employees who are partially paid out of Title IIIB, out of state formula grants, out of the COA budget, donation, CDBG, so the breakdown will show that sort of split of where salaries are apportioned.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any councilors have any questions? Councilor Dibble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Without having the list, and I guess tomorrow you'll
Yep.
so will email it to me. Without having a list of those employees that are receiving additional beyond, up above and beyond the 2.5%, can you tell us which employees here in this department are receiving it in addition to the 2.5% and why?
Sure, so Meredith McDonald and Kathy McCarthy are both receiving above the 2.5% based on the fact that their positions are below the salary survey that we did of surrounding communities and communities of similar size. So because they were below the salary survey, the mayor kindly put forth an increase that was above the 2.5% for both Kathy and for Meredith.
And what are the percentages of each?
3.1.
Pull it off my phone. So I think it was, it's not on the percentage. It's
they're
five, I
not.
believe it was 3.5% for Meredith and 5% for Kathy McCarthy, but let me just pull it up right now, Counselor, so I can tell you exactly.
We can get you the exact, I think you asked Counselor for the breakdown of those, because I think also the Witch House director.
There's a few, you have the Witch House director, the
And
golf course manager,
So
a
there's a
slight
couple
increase
within
for
this various
Trish.
department. We can
Yep.
certainly get those for you. Mostly it's based on, one, both the salary survey and, I mean, the incredible amount of work that's going on within some of these division heads. So I would say both merit, but also folks that are out of line in terms of equal or similar positions in surrounding communities. And frankly, even with these increases, we're still going to be off, but I think we've tried to work with exempt employees to recognize when we have positions that are out of sync and they're similar and like-minded, that we know we can't catch up in 1 year. Oftentimes it didn't happen that we found ourselves out of sync in 1 year. And in some of these positions, they're actually bringing in revenue, golf course, Witch House, Winter Island. Some of those are revenue producing, mini operations, and we wanted to recognize that the golf course is bringing in more revenue than it ever has.
Yeah.
And that's partly or largely due to the management of Paul. So I know we're not talking about that budget, but we're happy to share that list with you and sort of the thinking behind it, for sure.
And the exact figure, Counselor, was for Captain McCarthy was 4.5, for Meredith it's 3.5 for this budget.
Are there, I may continue?
Yeah.
Are there new, is there a new job description, a new additional workload that we're putting on them, or just comparing her position to other cities and towns like positions?
Oftentimes, in this case, I think it's both an increase in the number of people being served, more so than a change in the job description, and looking at similar positions in other communities. And we also take into account, like, some of those are veterans who've been there for a long time, and just trying to recognize when we're giving a service, the volume of work has definitely increased. Should point out on Council on Aging, beyond the operational budget, we also are looking at ways that we can enhance transportation for seniors. We know that's a key need. Not only is the transportation director doing more, but also looking at how we can look at some pilot projects, whether that's shuttle service, which is part of our Salem for All Ages, age-friendly action plan. There's a whole committee. So Meredith is part of a committee along with a lot of the staff working on Salem for All Ages and trying to embed that in our work, thinking about not only a shuttle-like system, but using some of the ride-sharing technology that exists. I've got a setup for a meeting with Uber coming up to think about other options that we can provide for seniors. I don't know if we've come into the council recently to talk about the Salem for All Ages plan, but we really kicked that into high gear in terms of trying to ensure that Salem is a place that's truly serving all, so that you can grow up and grow old in our community. And a big piece of that actually falls obviously within the COA, trying to make sure we're serving all seniors. Right now, seniors are 20% of our population. Over the course of the next 10 years, that is going to grow to become 25% of our population. I was just at Rotary today talking about this, and the statistics that was used was every single day there are 10,000 more people turning age 60 or higher. That's the baby boomers, and that's going to take place over the course of the next decade. So we are trying to make sure as this silver tsunami hits that we're being thoughtful about it. And transportation, social services, those areas are really front and center, and these guys are hopping. I know that some of you use those services, or as our caregivers are familiar with those services. There's a lot going on in this world. We're focused on the new building, but we're equally, I think, as focused trying to make sure we have the resources inside the building as well.
Any other questions from Councilor Milo?
Thanks, Madam Chair, for you. I just have a kind of a general question. How do you decide what goes under Council on Aging, what goes under Park and Rec? Because it looks like some of the funds that are under Council on Aging are shared. For instance, like the receptionist. I know the receptionist doesn't just work for Council on Aging kind of thing, or the program coordinator, that kind of thing. Like, how do you decide where the salaries come from?
I think it's a little bit of a work in progress tied to what those folks are actually doing, but it's hard to parcel out how many calls are COA calls versus how many calls are Park and Rec calls. And so I think, frankly, it's a little bit of a judgment call just based on, where they may have originated from and where we see those changes happening.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, you may.
So it doesn't necessarily, or does it have to do with the percentage of time? Like, is there a benefit? For instance, I'll just give you an example. Like, I'll just go with the receptionist. I know the receptionist gives out stickers, it's a phone, but all these things,
right.
and just for lack of a better estimate, let's just say it's 50-50, right? So, is there a benefit to putting it all into Council on Aging, splitting it? That's what I'm trying to understand, is what the rationale is.
To be honest, I think when these departments were merged, going back 12 years ago now, where existing positions sat, it kind of just got smushed together. We've tried to then parcel out, okay, as we think about programming, who's doing what, but it's not an exact, like, how much time do you spend? We're not tallying how many calls you answered or how much of one particular cohort you're doing over another. And to be honest, we have as many seniors involved in Park and Rec programs picking up Winter Island sticker. It's sometimes those lines are blurred on purpose. Because we're not trying to isolate what we're doing for seniors separate and apart from what we're doing for the overall community. For us, we see that as a way to make sure we're serving everyone. Like Salem for All Ages is about breaking down those isolations and trying to make sure that if you're coming to the CLC when you're 40, you'll come when you're 80, and you know that we're equally serving all those different parts.
I'm just, because I know like sometimes when people look at, you know, oh, Council on Aging.
I'm sorry, Councilor Milo, do you want to come to one of the mics?
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry, sure.
since we're recording.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that if people are looking at, you know, a total budget for a particular department and it doesn't always accurately reflect what's happening in that department, I just want people to be able to look at an accurate number. That's all is what I'm saying. So that when they're, you know, making just a judgment in terms of, you know, it's too high, it's too low, or whatever, just to try to get the, you know, things in the right pot. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we can try and do a better job of tracking. I guess we're not counting, I would say. If somebody comes in for a Winter Island sticker who's a senior, is that under the COA or is that under Park and Rec? You know, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I'd say we're trying to break down some of those silos, you know, and when it comes to answering phones, I don't know, do you guys have any thoughts? We could certainly try and do something better.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do look at it as community service, so it's hard to, you know, there's plenty of calls that come in for linen share and a lot of calls come in for transportation, which are primarily seniors, but we don't, you know, we don't specify or ask them or document which ones are.
It's almost sort of like the calls tend to be a little bit more COA based, but sometimes the foot traffic coming in is for a Pooch Pass or now at this season, a Winter Island sticker. So one is kind of, you know, skewing to one department sort of, and then the other traffic sort of. So it does kind of wash at the, you know, at the end.
Yeah.
I guess, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're hoping that if there's something that the COA needs, like there's an all-hands-on-deck approach, if they've got a big event going on, and perhaps vice versa sometimes, if there's something going on in Park and Rec world where, you know, it needs a little generation games is happening, like, okay, everybody kind of work together on that. So it could be flexible depending on what needs more resources. But we can certainly take a look at it to see if we feel like there's a more accurate way to depict it.
And I think the same thing for activities coordinators, you know, that they cross each other when there's COA events. The Park and Rec activities works it.
Right.
COA also helps out with the Park and Rec, so. Sure.
Thank you. Councilor Lovely.
Yes, through you. Can I just ask for the way it's set up, why Laurie Donahue, the principal clerk, is not listed up top here?
We list AFSCME employees separate, so they're on the next page. So if you go to the
Okay.
next page behind, we track all of the AFSCME
Okay,
union
all
employees
right.
separately.
Okay.
Any further questions? Councilor Dibble?
Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about what the union employees will be getting for a raise this year?
So the union employees are starting the FY18 year with a 0.5% increase, which was negotiated as part of their last year contract settlement. I can't speak to what they're going to get for the next 3 years because we're in negotiations right now.
So how do we justify those folks getting, what is it, 0.5% you were saying?
So that's to start the new year. So they've gotten 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 with some other incentives based on that union for the FY16, 17, I'm sorry, 15, 16, and 17 contract years. To start the FY18 year, knowing that we would be in labor negotiations right during this time, we said we will give you 0.5% to start the year off. I imagine we will be settling in a number very similar to what we have always settled at, which is anywhere between 2 to 3%. Probably closer to 3%, I would assume, but we're in negotiations now.
We're just starting that process with a number of folks, but, I mean, I would say, Counselor, that in the past, at least I think prior to my tenure here, exempt employees were never treated the same as union employees, so oftentimes we'd find collective bargaining employees getting increases and exempt employees. Our library employees had not gotten raises for years, and then all of a sudden there'd be a big jump. We've really tried to avoid that and treat both exempt employees and our AFSCME bargaining unit employees, which are the bulk of the municipal employees, in a very similar fashion. You'll see some pullouts every once in a while for exempts, as we pointed out, for folks who either are above the salary or below the salary survey requirements, or doing exemplary or more voluminous work. But traditionally, we try and keep people both in the union and the exempts aligned in terms of the percentage increases.
Yes, but we're not doing that today with, I don't know how many employees, because I don't have the list yet. I'll get it tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. The vast majority of exempt employees are all getting 2.5%. There is a handful that were pulled out for a little bit higher than that.
What is a handful? Are we talking
So I would say
3 or
it's
4?
probably 15, so I think
Yeah, I
there's
was gonna say
15 in
dozen.
total,
I was
so
gonna say,
the
yeah.
increases range from 3%, slightly above the 2.5%, to a larger flat increase for Elizabeth Peterson, for instance, who's the director of the Witch House. And Counselor, like we said, I can gladly get you that list tomorrow. I was meeting with Counselor Gerard prior to this, Trish prior to this, so I didn't have a chance to pull together that list for this.
But some of them we're voting on tonight, so this department and any departments that we're meeting on tonight,
Yes.
would you please go into detail on those that are getting above
We
and beyond the
have,
2.5%?
so we've been doing that with each budget that comes up. So we talked about it with COA, we've talked about it with veterans, we are talking about it with Park and Rec. So with every department that's highlighted, anyone that's getting above a 2.5%, I will highlight to you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other counselors have any further questions?
Anything else, Meredith, that you want to add?
No, I just want to thank everyone for your support. Much like Kim said, I love what I do. I love the seniors. And we're just really excited with all the things that are going on in our building. We're looking forward to the new building and when that ground breaks and, all the things exactly. And all the things that we as a combined unit will be able to do in this new space with a great layout and technology at our fingertips and, all of that. So it's really exciting to be able to share these times with the staff that I have and with our seniors. So thank you for your continued support.
Well, thank you
Great
for
team.
everything that you do.
Thank you.
I need a motion.
Councilor Bo, you have to make a motion on the...
Go right ahead, I'll follow your lead.
Go ahead.
I'll follow your lead.
Go ahead, please.
Somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Somebody on the committee, please just make a motion.
Let me find the line item first. What line item are we on here?
So you're doing the amount of 354, 216 for personnel?
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve line item proposed by the mayor for personal expenses at $354,216.
Second.
So, see, for personnel expenses, $354,216.
$354,216 personal expenses for the Council on Aging.
Okay, and seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Opposed? None opposed?
I'd like to make a motion for the Council on Aging non-personal expenses in the amount of $37,950.
Second.
Okay, the motion to approve, what was that, $37,950? Yep.
$37,950.
All those in favor? All opposed? That approved unanimously. Councilor Dibble.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to make a motion that we approve the total personal and non-personal expenses for the Council on Aging at $392,166.
Second.
Councilor Dibble moves to approve all total expenses, personnel and non-personnel expenses amount $392,166. All those in favor? Seconded by Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we go to 22.
I would also like to highlight there are several items in the capital improvement plan for Park and Recreation. That also includes requested items for the golf course and for Winter Island.
So were there any other, let's see. Well, I'd just like to say that I'm so appreciative of all of your department's support on getting McGlue Park up and going. And
Thank you.
That's been huge. Actually, I do have just one qualitative question. Where are we at on the Park Ambassador program?
The what?
The Park Ambassador program?
So Joe Candelari is our replacement for Bill Woolley. So Joe and I've met. He has been here about 3 weeks now, and we're going to kind of combine with Dominic's neighborhood meetings and try to kind of get the most invested people that live in the smaller areas of the parks that aren't getting the notice. So, it's kind of easy with the Willows and really Forest River and some of these other parks where there's so many people there's so many eyes on it to kind of get to the issues. But some of the smaller parks may not intentionally get neglected, but just having another set of eyes that really can help us out. There's been a lot of talk about how the police used to kind of walk the parks, and so I think, getting the right people who are in those parks as much as possible and getting them on board to kind of be another set of eyes for us, that's what our goal is. And so, Joe's getting his feet wet now, and as he dives into this, we're going to get involved with Dominic's neighborhood groups and reach out on Facebook and try to just get the most help that we can from committed citizens who live right in and are invested in those neighborhood parks.
Great. So is there a sense that it would be started hopefully by the summer?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get every single one, but we're going to kind of tackle as we get the people invested and involved. We can definitely do that. And then for those that maybe we don't get a response to, we'll come up with a plan of just maybe more social media or even potentially knocking on doors to in the immediate area of kind of the borderline of the park and see if we can get every park covered eventually. Yeah.
So just for folks who, the Park Ambassador Program is a way that we hope to engage residents who are in these parks anyways with helping us identify, like, hey, the hoop net, I actually notice that a lot. I'm always texting, like, net's down. But if I know there was some vandalism in Splain Park, like, people who are in our parks anyway could help us identify some of those trouble spots. The net's broken, there's an area that needs some additional attention, and get back to us on a regular basis. Then it's just another set of eyes and ears. I don't think we'll be able to do it in all 30 plus parks, but we are hopeful, like Franklin Street, there are folks who are there every day who walk it, who could really help us identify some of the issues so we can hopefully stay on top of them.
Yeah, which, speaking of Furlong, we need our tennis court net, please.
See, there you go. Furlong needs a net.
It hasn't been installed yet.
It's not up for the school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's needed.
Perfect.
Let me open it up to the other members, if any of the other members had questions about the budget at all.
Councillor Dibble, you'll see a 3% increase for Tricia O'Brien and a 4.5% increase for Kathy McCarthy. 2.5% for the remaining employees.
If I may, Madam Chair?
You may.
Thank you. Again, just to follow up on the two comments just now, is there any increased workload to these two employees, or is it just simply comparing them to other cities and towns and what they might be paid in other towns?
Well, I could speak to this a little bit. I think for us, we were definitely looking at comparisons, and we should get you the salary survey when we get you the information so you can see these two positions in particular were out of the mid-range by a lot in some of these areas. The other piece I would say with our Park and Rec department that is definitely unique is the number of external components. So most places aren't also managing the golf carts, managing a witch house, managing not only an RV park and a beach, but a pretty active area at Winter Island and Pioneer Village. Throw that in that mix. So we're really trying to recognize that this is a handful, serving as the director of this particular space, and warrants probably a salary increase beyond what the norm might be for your Park and Rec director in a city of our size, given some of those external components.
Yes, but the same things were managed last year and the year before and the year before that.
Well, yes and no. I would say that, one, we're up in terms of the number of folks who are visiting these areas, and we also have more events going on. We're an active and engaged place. I mean, there's a Spice Festival at Pioneer Village. We're doing more events at Winter Island. We're managing more work there. That does, it's good. It's positive, but it definitely creates more of a workload for folks who are running those various departments and overseeing budgets and managing the capital projects as well that are happening in those places. So,
don't get me wrong, I think Trish is an asset to the city. I think she does a great job. But it's our job to look at the numbers and make sure they're aligned. Sure. Can we jump to Pioneer Village real fast?
No, we should go through each one and then we'll vote on the So we'll do administration and support first, and the golf course, which house, Pioneer Village.
So you want to take them in order? Okay, I'll go back in order then.
Councilor Lovely.
Yeah, just a question to the finance director. Under recreation expenses, as with all other departments, for instance, telephone is paid out of this account and not from any other account.
So some of this is, Council, you'll see, especially with the Park and Recreation Directorate, this year we tried to accurately reflect for electricity. So in previous years, I think if Trish was running a little bit low in Park and Rec for electricity, she would take from golf course or potentially take from COA or take from Winter Island, because that was sort of the way things had always been done. And you would borrow from each department's electricity or borrow from each department's telephone line. Everything is from the general fund. You would never mix a receipts reserved account or anything of that nature. But yep, this is all general fund.
So all these items are coming from the general fund?
For this coming fiscal year, yes. I think in previous fiscal years, it was sort of borrowing, Mayor, I guess is the best way to put it, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. So if Trish was running low in Park and Recreation, she would potentially use the electricity line. It would be a like usage, so electricity in Park and Rec, if that was running low, potentially could borrow from electricity in golf course. There would be a transfer, it would be approved, but there have been years where that sort of exchange has been done.
So I guess my question would be, from a budgeting point of view, why wouldn't we have just a line item for telephone for the entire city?
Because it's managed by each department, so each department has, cell phones are managed by the purchasing department, she oversees each line item. Each department has separate lines. When you would have to have some sort of centralized person to manage all of those. So with Park and Rec, Trish has her Park and Rec lines. There are lines with the city that's managed by IT. There are lines in the police department that are managed by the police department. It's just proved to be the most efficient way to both keep costs down and to manage.
But it's a good question going forward. Right now, we've centralized sort of cell phones, but we haven't centralized phones. One of the things we're doing with, through investments in our IT department is moving to voice over IP. So that will be more of an internet protocol phone system. I think when we do that, we definitely will be able to centralize it. Right now, frankly, we struggle at the COA. Sometimes there's only so many lines, so many trunks. Like we're on like old NYNEX systems, it feels like. And there's only so many trunks and so many lines, and it's not a system that I would recommend replicating. But we're not going to be there that much longer. We will be setting up the new CLC and the Annex and City Hall to have one voice over IP system where every individual department will have their own line, but it will run through a centralized server. And that might be the time for us to centralize the cost, Counselor.
So when we, for instance, office supplies, general, this expense, $6,000, could conceivably be for an overflow in the planning department for supplies?
No, absolutely not. No,
Okay.
no. So the questions about Park and Rec in terms of electricity have been that if we have run short, and we've tried to accurately reflect that and moving around some money in each electrical line, but no, if it's office supplies for Park and Rec, it's office supplies for Park and Rec. Planning department has their own office supply line, finance has their own office supply line, that's their budget.
Okay, so,
And if there are transfers, that would be before the council.
okay, that's what I'm asking. So renovations and repairs,
Yep.
for instance, if you said, gee, we've got to do something to the library, where we've already used our budget up there, you'd have to come to the council before you...
Absolutely.
So...
And I can't recall that happening in recent times where we've taken from the library to give to Park and Rec or taken.
Well, I'm using that for an example.
Yeah,
Where, you know,
yeah.
you've got money for renovations and repairs throughout the
Yep.
budget,
Yep.
which is understandable, but I'm just wondering, so that when I look at the information that you provided me in the past and the future,
Yeah.
I'll be able to see $6,000, $8,000 being spent for repairs within this budget.
Yep, and you'll see in the adjusted budget for FY17 if there was an increase, and that would be tied directly to either a transfer or to the council approving an increase
Okay,
supplemental.
Within these budgets, say recreation supplies and renovation repairs, is there an overlap, or is this particular fund of $16,000 able to be used for any of these items, or is it strictly to the particular line item?
Are you talking about Park and Ground Maintenance, Counselor?
Yeah, just,
That's the Park and Recreation Department's budget for Park and Ground Maintenance. Oftentimes,
If I-
I guess what I'm saying is,
move it.
can
Right.
the funds that you have, the $233,000, can they be used within any of these? Are they limited to the amount that's here?
So it would have to, a transfer would have to be done to move from one line item to the next. The way in which it would be approved by council, if it was from one budget to another, if it was from an expense line to a personnel line, but internal expenses within the budget are done all the time. If Trish is running short and she has a surplus in gas and heat towards the end of the year, she can take $50 from gas and heat and put 50 towards electrical, take 50 towards electrical, move it towards gas and heat. We try to budget as accurately as possible for each line item to avoid.
I'm not
Oh,
questioning
no,
that. I
yeah.
just, it's been a while since I've looked at the budget. Things have changed in the 38 years since I've been here. I wasn't that involved with the budget last year, having just got back on. I didn't really dig into it. So essentially, anything under expenses is at the discretion of the department head and obviously the finance director and the mayor. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any further questions from council members? Committee members?
Motion to approve for personal expenses, recreation, and recreation administration is for $282,958.
Okay, $282,958. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And all those in favor? All those opposed? Alright.
Madam Chairman,
Okay, yep, go on. Yep, go ahead.
make the non-personal expenses for recreation administration recreation for $233,485.
Second.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? Or, I'm sorry, I should probably say that out loud, that is the amount of the non-personnel expenses for recreation for administration support. And
Final would be
Councilor
total personnel expenses for $516,443.
Thank you.
Is that right?
Yes, 516,000.
Correction, it's personnel and non-personnel.
No.
Personnel and
Thank you.
non-personnel, and so this is the total.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Passes unanimously. On to the golf course, which is one of my favorite places in the whole city. And let the record reflect that Councilor McCarthy has rejoined. I actually just had a question from a constituent that she wanted something for her kids to do this summer, and she was asking about golf lessons, and there were actually a number of people that responded saying, this was on the Northfields neighborhood page and Facebook page, and they were like, the Muni, go to the Muni.
Yep, we have junior golf league and lessons available as well.
I would also note that there are a couple of things in the CIP for the golf course, including equipment and an aerator.
Yes.
And there is an increase for Paul Lieber, who's the golf course manager.
There is also, we hope, we're looking at ways to improve the cart pass. I'm not a golfer, but spent a good few hours at the golf course with Paul and Tricia earlier this year as we were reviewing budgets and going through operational plans, and just continue to be so impressed with his dedication and commitment to the course. We're seeing, last year I think we saw the highest number of rounds in the course history, and some of the highest revenues that we've seen. And we're trying to recognize that doesn't happen unless you have somebody all over it up at the golf course. Some of that is attributable to some slight increases that the Park and Rec Commission agreed to the prior year in terms of some of the fees, but a lot of it's just relates to him being able to keep areas playable longer and moving groups along. So between Paul and the part-time golf pro up at the facility, they're really doing a pretty good job managing getting as much playable golf rounds as possible at the course. And I think for a 9-hole course, we're really lucky to have somebody of his caliber and expertise who can do so much, from the irrigation system to, dealing with all of the grounds and maintenance issues that you can understand you might have, along with management of budgets and personnel and moving the golf game, keeping that going. He's really got all of those down and works incredibly hard, so very fortunate.
And I think, the only thing that's a challenge are the paths. really, and that's really the only, I mean, the greens, I mean, they're beautiful. The holes, everything, and there's always someone out, and the staff are wonderful. They're great to talk to.
We get compliments all the time, I have to say, for Paul and the job that he does, and that people literally come up to us and say that the greens are better than the country clubs that they join. And he really cares about the golfer experience, in so much that, you know, he'll be aerating or doing things at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, just so that when the golfers come at 7, they're not impeded by his work as much as possible. So, you know, I'll just echo Kim's. Like, for me, when an employee treats the golf course like it is their backyard and takes that kind of pride in it, you know.
He treats it better than I treat mine.
Yeah, definitely better than my backyard, but his own backyard, so yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah,
The paths are definitely a challenge. One of the reasons that we were up there was trying to get a handle on, you know, how it could be phased. And we are working, you know, we just opened the new bid for asphalt, and so we're trying to look at, are there some ways we might be able to incorporate some improvements over a phased approach? It's at least $300,000 worth of work, so it's not a small figure, but we are trying to better understand how we could structure it so that either we could get it down at once and phase it. Are there some areas that we might be able to grab some additional revenue from the course to help support it? So we're trying to figure that out.
Well, I think it keeps us slow in the golf course and the golf carts. But I will say that a couple of friends of my parents came to visit, and I said, and they live in just outside Hilton Head. They live on a golf course, and so I took them over there, and they were very, very impressed.
Nice.
And of course, they loved the 9 holes cart and then lunch for $22.
Yeah.
They were like, you can't beat that.
Right.
I will relay that to Paul for sure.
Yeah. Counselor Dibble.
Yes, thank you. I can see the need to purchase a new aerator. I think that they're probably wearing the one out because, again, the grass is in great shape. And clearly he's aerating just like you just said. Can we talk really fast about the need for $56,000 for a new dump truck? How old was the old one and what happened to it?
So that's already been authorized, Counselor. It was authorized last year, and this year is the first of the lease payments. So that's something that's already been authorized by the council.
But I can assure you, the last golf,
It was,
the last dump truck that they had was,
Rotting out from underneath.
Yep, it was rotting, and I don't think it would have, I know it would not have gotten another sticker. At the point we were replacing it, I think we were worried about the whole rear end of it coming off because we had used it so much.
and it was rusted through as well.
Well said, thank you. The $35,000 for to replace the piping in the irrigation pump house. I've been in maybe 20 or 30 pump houses, and that's a lot of money for one pump house of piping. Why is that so much?
The council was kind enough to authorize that funds out of, I think about a month ago, prior to. So a lot of that is that the current system is eroding, is my understanding. Weston & Sampson came in, did an evaluation of the pump house, and it's a wholesale replacement, is my understanding, Trish.
Yeah, and it's also the electrical panel that goes along with the whole irrigation system. So that was part of that increase as well, so that the amount of water that's basically pumped through, so that it's piped correctly, because the previous system was a challenge for that, and then the irrigation electronic system as well, to be able to match the water flow.
Are we doing anything differently to protect the new devices, the new electrical panel, the connectors, so that they don't rot out as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's enclosed in a clubhouse, so it's completely enclosed in a secure area and alarmed.
The old one was secured as well inside the clubhouse, inside the pump house.
Yeah, well, right, but then once it gets into the irrigation, it's underground and on the outside. So I think, when you say the rotting, I think that was on the exterior. The interior was more a challenge of the way that the pipes are set up in the flow, to be able to handle the flow of water.
I guess
Elbows and turns and things like that.
with regard to like the circuit breaker panels all rotting out, are we doing something differently on the new installation so that the new one doesn't rot out as well? I know the one in the Salem Common gazebo, that got wet, damp, and just was all rotting out years ago.
We can get you the spec for the work that is being proposed. I think that we're all cognizant of wanting to make sure it gets done the right way. So I'll be happy. I don't have the specific technical information in terms of how exactly it's being done. But we'll get
I don't need to know, I'm just bringing it to your attention that perhaps we should do it differently so that it doesn't rot out again.
Yeah, I mean, I think Paul's all over it, to be honest, but we can, ensure that it's done the right way.
I'm embarrassed because I haven't had time to go and play golf this whole year, but I need to get up there and see, because I hear so many people in Ward 7 commenting about how great a course it is this year.
There is the K9 golf tournament that's going to take place on June 5th, so you can do 2 loops. Councilor McCarthy?
There's also the golf tournament for the Salem High Golf Course, Cartoon League Basketball. They offer a lot of time up to a lot of different community organizations to allow them to raise a lot of money on top of, bringing in funds for the golf course. And I want to echo those. I have not, work has kept me away from playing golf this year, but my kids go up almost every other day. And from what I saw from the course last year, what they're doing with their money and what they turn around on money is phenomenal. What they're doing to clear different areas, to open up holes, to, bring back tee boxes that have been overgrown and forgotten about for years. They just do a phenomenal job up there, and I cannot speak highly enough of the condition of the course and what they do. I think it's one of those things when you look at the total, department total, and if you look at that number and what we turn around at the end of the year, because for the money is, we make a fair amount of money with the golf course, and it's reflective of the efforts of the personnel up there and what they do. And I haven't spoken to anyone who speaks ill of what's going on up at the golf course. It's phenomenal. So if there's no further discussion.
Any further discussion?
I would move to move golf course personnel in the amount of $305,812.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moved to approve golf course personnel in the amount of $305,812. All those in favor? All those opposed? None opposed? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move in golf course expenses in the amount of $223,972.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Fury. All those in, for the non-personnel expenses for the golf course for $223,972. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move for the department total in the amount of $529,784.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves that the total personnel, non-personnel expenses be approved in the amount of $529,784, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? None. Onward to the Witch House.
Councilor Dibble, you'll see an increase for Elizabeth Peterson, who's the director of the Witch House.
I'm sorry?
You'll see an increase for Elizabeth Peterson, who's the director of the Witch House.
He's also the director of Pioneer
And
Village.
Pioneer Village,
as well.
of course.
I think we are unique in having a witch house in a Pioneer Village that's managed in-house by our Park and Rec staff. If you have not had the opportunity to meet Elizabeth Peterson, I would highly recommend that you do. She is a passionate historical leader for both the witch house and Pioneer Village. Pioneer Village, up until 2 years ago, I think it's been 2 years since we've taken it in-house, was managed externally. 2 years ago, we took it in-house, and Elizabeth has been managing that area as well. That's a real struggle given the location of Pioneer Village, and it can be hard to get folks up there. The trolley in our first year was taking people up as part of a combo ticket, but it really didn't work for them. It takes them out of their sync and their loop. So, going forward over the last couple of years, we've had to rely on other attractions, the Spice Festival and things that Elizabeth really works hard to promote and bring forward. As part of the Forest River Park work, we are really looking at Pioneer Village. Is this the most appropriate location? Are there other options? Because it's a struggle to get people to this site out in South Salem. Elizabeth would also tell you that every time somebody hits a home run at Forest River Park, it takes away from the experience of 1626 when you're touring the facility next door and you hear over the loudspeaker, Johnny Smith just hit a single. Obviously, we want to, protect and preserve that particular experience for Salem, and the Witch House as well. Under Elizabeth's tenure, she's improved the gift shop, the tour itself. If you haven't been on the Witch House tour in a while, I'd encourage you to take it again. She's really improved the script and the stories and mixes it up. It's a little different depending upon the time of year, what you might experience when you're going through the Witch House. So I think we've improved the tour, we've brought out more artifacts, we're telling more interesting stories. And she's really just an amazing, I'd say, asset to our overall city, but particularly as somebody managing these two assets. She has also brought in enhanced revenue at both the Witch House. Pioneer Village is making just a little bit of money. I mean, just the fact that it's breaking even, given it's only open on the weekends and it's not a full-on program right now, we thought was pretty incredible. The goal is to keep those places alive. She also has connections within the historical preservation community that's keeping the thatched roofs thatched and keeping up with the carvings and the requirements that are necessary for maintaining these historic properties. So I can't say enough about her. You will see not an insignificant increase in her salary as she's bringing in revenue. We really felt like she needed to be more adequately compensated for the outstanding work she's doing, managing not one, but two historic assets, and always finding ways to, drive not only revenue, but the experience, the value that people are getting out of these properties is pretty significant.
There's about $245,000 estimated revenue for the Witch House for this coming fiscal year.
So if I can ask a question which relates to the narrative, that it looks like that the revenue at the Witch House at what's estimated for fiscal year 2017 is lower, but if it's anticipated that it's going to be higher attendance, how is that?
Estimated for FY17, is that what you're saying? It's 323?
Yeah, and even estimated for FY 2018, that you have higher attendance numbers to be that are estimated, but the actual revenue is lower than the actuals.
I think part of that is also that it's approved that a percentage of each ticket is going directly towards the preservation of Proctor's Ledge for maintenance, and I know a percentage also goes to the Salem Scholarship Fund, so...
It goes to the Salem Award Foundation.
Salem Award Foundation, sorry.
So, I think the other thing is the actual revenue, so we'll get the actuals for FY17 as we wrap up. I don't know what those numbers are actually in, so it could certainly be higher. Those were just, that's the estimated, probably from when we did this budget going back, so we can get you those numbers year to date.
But some of it might be lower because of that, that percentage taken out for each ticket as part of that estimate.
Are there any other questions from Council McCarthy? And then
Or I move to approve, she's worth every penny. And more.
And then before you approve, Councilor Levin.
Before I approve, she does a phenomenal job with that site, and someone who, back in the day when the previous operator of Pioneer Village, the House of Seven Gables, tried to operate it for a bunch of different years, and they were in charge of maintenance one year, and I actually, as a contractor years and years ago when I was much younger, climbed up and replaced the roof on the governor's mansion with wood shingles. Wow. It was to get rid of the squirrels. That was a long time ago, and it was that goes back how far that, we all forget Pioneer Village was built as a temporary site to commemorate the action of, and so the fact that it's still standing and operating is, a testament in what she does and her group does in order to try to keep that alive. And the fact that they actually are able to, numbers-wise, turn in any kind of a profit down there is unbelievable. And if it's, you know, and it's the hardest part is, it's the fact that it's off the beaten path when it comes to people who are taking tours and trying to visit the museums and whatnot. And it's difficult just because of its location, but it has a story, and it provides, I know the kids groups love going there and stuff, so when they have the opportunity, so. But all that being said, if there's no further discussion,
There is actually, when Counselor Lovely did have his hand up.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. Can you tell me about contracted services?
Should be a detail, right, in the contracted services line item?
Section 8, page 252.
The Haunted City programs, the actors, special and all participants, and then supplies and costumes needed for the Haunted City program.
Okay, is that under contracted services or office supplies general? Is that?
That's under contracted services. Yeah.
Okay. $8,500 in office supplies, this seems high. Is it just, you need this much money to run the place? And I mean, I'm not expecting you would say, oh, office supplies are $6,100. Is it just pretty much to round it off? I mean, it just seems like an awful lot of office supplies for the witch house.
Sure. So if you look at what's been spent, Counselor, the past couple of years, it's actually a little bit less than needed. So Elizabeth has actually trimmed down from what she uses. So that could be a range from the flyers that she hands out, the brochures, a whole range of items, but she typically spends that entire line and oftentimes a little bit more.
I think we did actually have a budget transfer from office supplies to printing and binding for promotions in the past.
Yep.
We can get you a breakdown.
So you do a transfer within, and so you keep these line items, and if somebody wants to transfer from electricity to natural gas, there is a record of that. It doesn't come to the council, but there is a record of
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I sent about quite a few.
I just run a pretty big office, and if I put $8,500 in the tax return, I think I'd be audited. But anyway, I'm not, it seems like an awful lot of office supplies.
Yeah, we can
Thanks.
get you a breakdown, because it might be, I bet you, I'm sure we shifted some to printing and binding. She may have needed more flyers, or I wouldn't be surprised if that happened on occasion. Because that's kind of.
I just want to know in general how it works. I'm looking for any. Thank you.
Counselor Dibble?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Counselor Dibble?
That's it. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for the record, Sarah, can you tell us what the percentage increase in pay for Ms. Peterson is for this year?
I can work out the math for you, Counselor. That's why Ollie's here. All of our computers are shut down, so I'll do it on my phone. so you can have a record of it. So we did a flat increase for, I can do the percentage, we rounded it to 50, but I'll do the percentage of what it currently is versus what it is now.
And that's because Pioneer Village is now added to her, or did she already have Pioneer Village?
She just picked up Pioneer Village over the last 2 years, and we didn't give her we gave her a very minimal increase for that.
I see that from last year.
Yeah, she's, for the work that she's doing, we really felt like she needed to be higher compensated, given that she's managing 2 facilities, hiring all the personnel, scheduling, running their budgets, running all the promotions, dealing with all the maintenance in properties that are pretty specialty, and enhancing the visitor experience.
Running the
Her
shows.
current pay, she was making less than some of our administrative staff. And so it's hard to find an exact salary survey matchup for Witch House Director and Pioneer Village Director, but given the revenue increases that she's been able to garner over the last 2 years to the city, we really felt like she was deserving of a more significant increase. And I think she's got the highest increase of anybody in the city from a percentage perspective.
And what is that percentage?
21.47.
I think we're doing the math, right?
21.47, Counselor?
Thank you. No other questions.
If there were no other questions, then Councilor McCarthy, do you want to?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve Witch House personnel in the amount of $131,051.
Second.
So Councilor McCarthy moved to approve the personnel expenses in the amount of $131,051. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's approved. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move for Witch House expenses in the amount of $67,480.
Second.
So Councilor McCarthy moved to approve the non-personnel expense budget for Witch House in the amount of $67,480, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move we approve the department total in the amount of $198,531.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moved to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expenses of the Witch House in the amount of $198,531, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's unanimous. And then Pioneer Village were there any further questions about Pioneer Village, or did we just want to make a motion on this?
I'd like to have a brief discussion on Pioneer Village.
Sure. Oh, this was the one that you wanted to jump to before. Yes. Okay. So let's do that.
Trish, can you just give us an update? It seems like it's underutilized right now. You're not familiar with it, but there was a period of about 6 years where Pioneer Village was closed to the public, totally. They filmed a couple of movies in there, and that was about it, I think.
Really?
For a long period of time. I think it was a 6-year period. Mr. John Goff from Lafayette Street approached my Boy Scout troop years ago. This is 12 years ago now, maybe longer, and asked for help. He wanted to reopen the village. So we voted 5 years to give to him, and we did for 5 years. I spent many a night sleeping in Pioneer Village with my Boy Scout troop, and we built bridges, one real nice bridge, a couple of earthen dugouts, rebuilt them totally. We didn't get up on the roof like this councilor did, or quite a few other things. And I had hoped that Pioneer Village would grow based upon the work that so many Boy Scouts and their parents and a whole bunch of volunteers had done, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours that we put in there, that it would grow, and I haven't seen it. Just curious your thoughts on why does it look like nobody's ever visiting it? When we have numbers here, but you just don't see them.
Yeah, well, I think the numbers are incredible, as Councilor McCarthy said, for what the hours are, the weekends, things like that. Last year, I mean, the promotional things that Elizabeth has been doing has been incredibly helpful in that growth. And I know the history is that it's been contracted out almost. For example, Gordon College, I think, ran Pioneer Village a couple of years ago. So I think since Elizabeth has taken it over, the numbers have increased immensely. The challenges that the mayor mentioned in terms of she did a lot of work to try to get it on the trolley route, and they agreed to do it for 1 year, but then it threw them off their schedule with traffic and whatnot. They weren't interested in doing it again. So I think she's doing everything possible. The Spice Fest has increased immensely. I mean, there was a line all the way out to West Ave when she did the Spice Fest that weekend. So most certainly everything within her power within working in that location, she has promoted and done a great job. And reaching out to Youth Build and the Sheriff's Department to do a lot of the weekend work to kind of get it ready for the season. Her and her family are out there every weekend. It's just amazing. I think with those challenges, the numbers are pretty good. I mean, I think when Gordon was running it, it wasn't even close to the numbers that they are now, so.
I guess I'm kind of asking, what more can we do to make it more alive, if you will?
So one thing that we're talking about with Elizabeth has got a group of historic preservation personnel that are looking at, is this the right location? Should this wonderful experience be moved someplace else within the city as a means to get it on the trolley route, make it a place that might be a little bit more successful for access? Because its biggest struggle right now is getting folks who are in the centers of the city, there when it's not on the trolley route. If this was on the trolley route, we really feel like this is now Plymouth Plantation, probably even a better experience. So those discussions are in the very beginning phases of even a conversation, but I think we'd love to involve you in that and give some thought to how we can allow this temporary, right, scene set to be something that really is a living, breathing experience for people, bringing back, actors who were there. I mean, this definitely has all the potential to be bigger and better than Plymouth Plantation, if we plan for it appropriately.
And I think one of the other things that, she is working on and kind of asked for an increase in is more promotional for both the Witch House, but Pioneer Village as well, with school groups and going to the schools and really, it already happens, but really there's still more that can be done in terms of promotion, and that's part of her request, was to do that with some more seasonal help in the off-season to promote it for the spring within the school groups as well.
Part of the amount of time to get there from downtown Salem is not that convenient, and the amount of traffic to get down the distance, 1.5 miles or whatever the measurement is, from door to door, is pretty big. I just want to remind the mayor that yes, it's a traffic problem getting the tourists down to the Pioneer Village in South Salem, but Ward 7 is further south than South Salem, and that's a good topic for when we have the Public Works Director up here on the traffic in that area, and how bad it is. And just taking the Pioneer Village and relocating it someplace closer to the downtown because of the traffic down there. Let's work on fixing the traffic problem that we have in South Salem, but that's not for this department.
Yeah, but I want to be clear, the traffic is not the issue as much as it's off the beaten path from when tourists are here. So tourists come here, they park in the center of the city, and then to get there, it's not that they don't want to fight the traffic to get there, it's just off the beaten path. You know what I'm saying.
Just earlier you said traffic when you talked about South Salem and getting there, when you were talking about the trolley.
That's why the trolley didn't keep it going, was because it messed up their loop of a schedule. So because of the time involved, no doubt about it. But I hear what you're saying, though.
Councilor McCarthy. Or Councilor Dibble, were you all set?
I'm all set, yes.
Okay, Councilor
I
McCarthy.
will just reiterate from, once again, my experience from a former, way back, when the House of Seven Gables had it, they actually explored the idea of a water taxi. They were selling combo tickets, and the problem was that you all of a sudden you're walking out of the House of Seven Gables and you expected that you were gonna walk down the street a quarter mile or so, and you were gonna go to and then it was like, wait a second, you've gotta go all the way over, up, down. So for them, it didn't work. I mean, I know Gordon tried it for a while, and with what they were doing with downtown, with the old town hall. It's just, unfortunately, it's a logistical thing that people, when they come here and they block a certain amount of time to do whatever they want, they want to go visit the museums, it's just like, all of a sudden it's boom, 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 and then it's like way over there and back. So it's through no fault of anybody's, it's just where it is. And people, when they're doing their loops, it doesn't fit into the loop, and I get that. So if there's no more discussion, I would move, seeing there's that all the personnel expenses are in the previous budget, I would move that we move for the Pioneer Village expenses and the department total in the amount of $17,900.
Second.
Seconded by, okay, so Councilor McCarthy moves for approval of the non-personnel and the total personnel, non-personnel expenses in the amount of $17,900 for Pioneer Village, which was seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. Okay. And then Winter Island.
So you'll see a slight increase for Dave Gilbert, the Winter Island manager. You'll also see an increase in seasonal maintenance, reflecting an increase in the hourly wage for John, and I always forget the other guys, John and Bob.
Madam Chair, do you have the percentages for those increases?
I don't, Nina Bridgman does, because the computers are up and running. Give me 2 seconds, Counselor Dill.
Thank you.
What was this, just for David's increase? Uh, 2.99.
Like 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
2.99.
It's probably 3.
3% increase.
3%.
I'm guessing it's a 3. I think that's what the number is. I
Yeah,
don't remember off
it's-
the top of my head. But.
Yeah, 3%.
If I,
Counselor, lovely.
his salary was 48,395 this year, right?
Yep, so it's, the increase is based on the weekly counselor, so this week was a 52.2 week year, and next year is a 52 week year, so that's probably why the 2,999 is coming up. It's a 3% confirmed Nita Bridgman in the quarter.
So, but the increase from 48,395 to 57 is more than 3%.
His salary counselor is 55,894 for David Gilbert.
Well, okay, so there's a half week missing. I'm looking at year-to-date expenses, 48,395. Was he not there for the
So
full
the
year?
year-to-date expenses counselor was run on, it should say in the corner, May 15th, 2017.
Oh, so it's not it's not,
Year-to-date.
okay.
No, year-to-date.
All right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So if you look on the next page, on, what is it, section 8, 261, voted by council last year for the 52.2 week year is 55,894.
Okay, I just assumed that his salary was out till June 30th by the 48,000. Okay, I don't have any problem with that. Thanks. Sorry for interrupting.
So we are definitely seeing enhanced use at Winter Island, both for RVs and people who have discovered Waikiki Beach. It is definitely a more popular place. We've also made some capital improvements at Winter Island, both the pathway around the entire island, which is increasing usage, as we saw last year, some of the fort restoration work, and there's more to come this year as we think about phase 2, some of those areas that we're hoping to tackle as well. The Winter Island pop-up, I can't say how, successful those have been and how wonderful the staff at Winter Island is pulling everything together. And the last piece is just boat access. I mean, it is the spot of choice for people to bring their boat in. There are some weekends where it's just a trail of boats and trailers. So there's a lot of interaction between Dave, the harbor master's office, the assistant harbor master, who are on site a good deal of time to help manage some of that increased usage. But it really is the camp store, the campsites. We've made investments bringing Wi-Fi to the area. This year we're looking at other ways to enhance sort of that camper experience.
We have a new online registry program for Reserve America.
Reserve America, yeah.
So we started a little bit later, but I think we've caught up because we started with this online management tool where you can reserve your campsite online. There's a lot of regular folks who come every year, but there's also new people, especially with this new tool. So it's a busy summer season for these guys, and then in the winter season they spend a lot of time working on projects and upgrades. We've got some great part-timers. I can't say enough about John and Bob, who are super committed to the site, do whatever needs to get done, and also help with the seasonal workers. They're a little more seasoned, a little more veteran, and are able to give direction and guidance to some of our college kids, our seasonal laborers who haven't been around as long.
And I'd also add that you've got the camps, you've got Salem there that's there most of the summer, and then I think there's also a Shakespeare camp that's there, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was last summer, Winter Island was the location for the National Optimist, the Opti Championships, which the Optimists are rectangular shaped boats, one person boats. Sailboat, so.
Sailing regatta, which was huge.
So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot. It's a pretty well-used site. We do hope to, we have a Winter Island master plan, pieces of components of that are put together. We'd love to really think more deeply about both the hangar and the administration building. It's on our list, I would say, of things that we really think is important, but hard. And there's some interest in putting together a group of stakeholders to really work on that and better understand how we can maximize the opportunities for those buildings to be preserved.
Is that something that I think hopefully the Port Authority could
Well, we
at
toyed with the idea of the Port Authority, sort of having jurisdiction around other waterfront areas. But right now, the Port Authority is going to have their hands full with the power plant site and the 45 acres around it. I think in terms of impacts and improvements to that commercial pier. So I don't see them tackling that right away. I think we really need to unpack Steve Cecil, they did a great job with the Winter Island Master Plan, finding a reuse for the hangar. It's super tricky given the costs that are required, and we don't want to change the character of the place either, right? So it's hard to, thread that needle with what could bring in revenue to help, pay for the capital without destroying sort of the character and the raw recreational aspects and naturalness of the site. So it's tricky, but we think we need to get people around the table really thinking more deeply about it, because it's an amazing asset and we don't want to see it. It continues to sort of, not be well cared for in its current condition, and we need to preserve it. It's going to take resources.
And I will say that as a triathlete, that Waikiki is such a great asset to get my wetsuit on and swim out as far as I'm brave enough to go, and then have those showers there to rinse off before going to work.
It's really used by so many folks. There's also a big kayak fishing group that is out there. We have a kayak fishing tournament every year, and the kayaks, we are actually building some more kayak lockers.
Yep, we're building more kayak spots for rental, and we're going to put a spot at Dead Horse Beach and upgrade the ones at Winter Island and Kernwood Marina. And the fishing is huge. The fishing clinic that was run by the Wildlife Fisheries last summer was the highest attended anywhere in the state. They gave us great feedback, and they're willing to come back again. We got a donation from the Rotary Club for $1,500, and we're enhancing that program because of its popularity and running it again as well this summer.
And it was actually great last year because I always do the paddle for plumber, and it was nice after being in the water that I could run over there and shower.
Yeah, when the paddle program is back again at Forest River as well.
Councilor Fury.
Winter Island's a jewel all year round, it's a treasure all year round, and you see the harbor all year round in different seasons, but it's also been really wonderful to see footprint being built over the years. Here's an amazing panoramic view. You can see footprint go from the old New England power stacks and so on down where it is now. It's a really beautiful all year round. The walkways are just beautiful.
Yeah, they came out really, really nice.
I see all generations, all groups use it. It's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Dibble, then Councilor Whitley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dave Gilbert, I've known him for 30-something years now. He does 30 years, I'd say. Does a great job. We're lucky to have him as well as so many other city employees. He's selling a lot more passes down there now. The function hall utilization has increased. I volunteer and run an annual cribbage tournament for every year. And I'm amazed at the few people that come down who have never been there before to play cribbage say, look at this place. And then they come back next year. Then they have a few more people every year. It seems to grow. But I'm wondering about Camp Numkeg. That seems to be way down. What is the cause for that utilization to go way down?
Well, I mean, it definitely needs some work. Dave does not want to rent anything with outside unseen, so he makes sure that they see it. I mean, it is an old camp, so the atmosphere is the old camp's atmosphere. The beauty of it is in the spot, but the buildings are needing some work. So there's definitely an entire Camp Numkeg study that's wrapping up right now on the needs and the assessments of that area as well. So Ty and Bond is just about finishing up that report.
The other piece is the Y has been operating their camp from that site. So I think people used to be able to get in there Friday night.
Right.
It's a little trickier now because they're using it for summer camp for kids, for Salem kids.
So it's really only Saturdays and Sundays for Dave.
Okay, so that's maybe why that's down.
Yeah.
Friday less.
It's showing its age though. I don't know if you've been out there lately.
Yeah. With regard to selling trolley tickets to the campground residents, if you would, he's no longer doing that now?
He does promote them and offer them as well there, yes.
Okay, so that didn't change.
Yeah.
Okay. With regard to the Scouts, I have pretty much stepped down after 22 years of being a volunteer Scout leader at Troop 83 and Cub Scout Pack 83. And we've, for decades, long before I was a Scout leader, Gary Moore and people before them had a great relationship between Scouts and Winter Island. And I'm really happy to see the line here that is continuing. There was a period of about 4 or 5 years that Boy Scouts from Troop 83 assembled every picnic table purchased by the city of Salem, and a whole bunch of other things that we found that were purchased years earlier that were not assembled. We said, well, let the boys do that as well.
Yeah.
So we're putting things together for your department. Free labor is good, but it also teaches our Scouts how to use tools and how to give of their time, and the parents to give of their time to help your program. So please
Absolutely.
keep that program strong. In addition to that, the feeling, and I talked to Scouts who camped there 20 years ago, one trip to Winter Island had 440 Boy Scouts and their parents, and Cub Scouts and their parents there. 440 people from South Salem all over there all at one time. It was a lot of people. But they gave great pride and felt like Winter Island, these are young whippersnapper, young kids. They felt that Winter Island was their own. And to talk to them 20 years later, now they're getting married and long out of college, about the days at Winter Island, they treated Winter Island like it was their own. Like it was their backyard with great pride. I'm curious, when are we going to do something with the barracks, Mayor, in the hangar building? I'm down there running my cribbage tournament, or I go down there to visit to hang out at Winter Island, and I look at the hangar building, and every year goes by, it looks worse and worse and worse. We need to, well, I don't expect to have an answer now, but we need to move on those things before they're really lost.
I don't know if you heard me at the beginning say that we're really thinking about maybe wanting to think more deeply about that with a group of stakeholders to both look at the barracks and the hangar. The struggle is, as I mentioned, the cost to improve the hangar versus, not wanting to obviously change the character of what we're seeing there. The barracks building may be an easier fit. I believe one of the potential uses mentioned in the Winter Island master plan study done by Steve Cecil and the Cecil group was looking at potential lodging accommodations, and maybe there's a way to have a beautiful bed and breakfast or inn style use there. I mean, you should know we've reached out to places like Mass Maritime and others to see if they had use. It's a barracks, there's a dock. At the time, I think the power plant was operational, but there could even be an opportunity for training north. And they weren't interested, but it's definitely worthwhile to sort of revisit some of that. Salem would love to have a permanent home there, and again, the resources necessarily to get that hangar. There's one other hangar similar to ours that's still in operation or still up and running, and that's in Miami, and it's operated by the Shake a Leg Foundation. It's a organization, a nonprofit that runs community sailing program, particularly for folks with disabilities. Fantastic. It was a tremendous amount of public resources and private fundraising that went into them restoring their hangar and operating their program. They were actually up here last summer. So I think it's how do we, one, get a direction and a use that could generate some additional revenues, because I don't think we have the capacity to take it on all by ourselves in terms of what those costs were. I think the Cecil Group, Bob, you may recall, had a number close to $10 million was the raw kind of rough number looking at restoration, and that's a pretty tidy sum. So trying to figure out, is there something we could do that could generate some revenues that could help offset some of those capital expenditures, or partner with somebody who at the same time wouldn't denigrate the character. One of the things we love about Winter Island is that it is this great recreational amenity, and I don't think we want to over commercialize it or over privatize it. In the same vein, we don't have $10 million, so it's trying to find a good matchup, Counselor, that could make it work. So we are contemplating putting together a stakeholder group to take a look at it. I'm just trying to figure out what we have for staff and time to manage. We've got the harbor plan for the 45 acres along the power plant, the new wharf, the new port authority that also we need to get going, and so trying to find the staff and the time and the resources to help drive that are something that is weighing on me a little bit right now. But I hear you, and I definitely want to find a use for it. It's one of my favorite spaces in Salem, and it's time that we do something there.
Counselor Lovely? Oh, sorry, Counselor DeVoe, were you finished?
Yeah, almost done. It's not only time, it's long overdue. Rather than thinking about these things, we need to do it. Whatever it is, we need to do it, because I remember back in 1986 reading a study by Gary Moore was working on the 5 Winter Island managers ago. And his excitement over, we're going to do something here. But that's 31 years ago. And still nothing's been done to either the barracks or the hangar building, besides a little bit of mothballing, if you would. Not much more.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think getting the master plan done was helpful to us, and we have made some investments in both the restoration of the forts and the pathway around Winter Island. Finding a reuse counselor that could generate some revenue to offset the necessary capital has been the really sticky spot for us. I want us to get to it too. I'm just sharing with you all of the balls that are up in the air right now, and wanting to find the appropriate way to make sure we can manage this one as well.
Are you all set, Counselor?
Yes, thank you.
Counselor Lovely?
Just along those lines was a capital bond bill, which I'm sure you're aware of, that the local representatives did get funding for it, but it doesn't seem like that's ever going to be funded. But it's a reality of where the funds are. I know you have a lot on your plate, and just to Councilor Dibble, it's not really fair to say that we've been waiting for a long time to do this. We have, but I'm just wondering why not try an RFP on at least the barracks, just to...
Yeah, it's so, we've been talking about that actually.
Okay.
There's definitely, I would say, potential for an in there that could
Sure.
be a private sector matchup.
Yeah.
Would you feel like that over commercializes that space, or if done well, like a grand old dame in a bad way?
Compared to what it's like.
Yeah.
No, but I think you'd be able to save the character, I would assume. I may not be able to have slate shingles on it, but, I don't know. Structurally, they had firefighters in there, for a commercial for television 30 years ago. It's just been, just even if it was for $1 to get something, a restaurant on the first floor, a couple of rooms upstairs, or something to see what they might have.
That feels like the easier one to tackle than the hangar, which is like so immense to think about.
You're going to have all that, all that area for marine development by the power plant, so that may be, but maybe somebody might be willing to go in there. $11 million was a lot of money for
that
somebody.
included the hangar, so that wasn't...
No, I'm just saying, I think you're right. To try an RFP on the administration building I think we'd probably get some bites, and then the other, maybe even in the interim, to rent it out. I know there's local legend that certain people keep their boats in there over the winter. I don't know if that's still the case. Haven't been inside, but that had been the case.
Had been.
Yeah, but
Bill McHugh's got any boats in there out of there?
His own boats are in there.
there's nothing in it right currently now.
I think we keep a harbor master boats in there.
Well, they should. Yeah.
It's still used for storage, but not by the outside people.
Maybe there's somebody even who gets some money that helps, even in the interim, somebody for storage, or some people might want to have their boats inside, maybe pay a premium where they can go in the winter and work on it just to get some more revenue. And speaking of revenue, it's $15 for the pass for Salem residents. 20, and then the second one is
2 years. For 2 years.
2 years.
Two
The
years.
second one is it's 5.
5, yeah.
Okay, so I have 7 vehicles, so that would work out. But what is it for visitors?
Non-residents?
It's $20 a day.
Every time?
Every time.
Well, there are a lot of people who grew up in Salem. I don't know what we can do, maybe just some thought, because I had somebody call me today. They didn't know anything about the budget. They used to go down there with their father all the time, and he's gone, and they want to go down and reminisce, and $20 is a lot to pay. So I don't know if we think about a regional pass, or maybe increase it, because I don't know how many people come from Peabody or Beverly. We get an extra $20 rather than coming at all, so I don't know, maybe Massachusetts, whatever.
There is a
Just
non-resident
thought.
pass, right? How much is that? $100 or something?
I have to look it up from Annie, but yeah, we have resident, non-resident, and then we have day pass.
Yeah.
The stickers are good for 2 years for residents.
So there is a non-resident pass, but it's really ultra expensive.
Maybe we could, think about that.
I'm all for
Just
it.
because I think there's a lot of people who would, especially once we have the hotel down there. Just talk about it. But thank you.
Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Going from memory, on the reuse study for the barracks building, I think it was $1 million back, that was probably going back 4 years ago. That was just to shell it out. That was just to redo the roof and put windows and doors in it. That wasn't any of the internal fits. It was just because of the fact that it's an historic building and has a slate roof and they did, at one point they were doing closed confined training and were setting fires in there and let the fire department go in there. But the building actually, surprisingly, from the study, was in good.
The structural integrity.
Structural is still sound. So, I mean, to take the shingles off, rebuild the roof, at that point, a few years ago, it was like $1 million just to shell it. And the urban legends going back, probably 15, 20 years, when one of my neighbors, Brian Brailsford, used to have his tour boat. He had was called the Queen. It was a wood planked boat that had to be certified by the Coast Guard, and he used to put it up in there, and we used to go pop the bungs out of the hull because you had to pull the fasteners out. Then the Coast Guard had to come and inspect and put the new fasteners back in. It used to be set up inside, and me and one of my neighbors used to go over and on weekends every once in a while and help them. But that has ended. The buildings, because there is no sprinkler system inside the building inspector will not allow any, other than our own purposes, our own boats, our own equipment to be in there, but he won't allow any private boats in there because there's no sprinkler system in the building, so that God forbid something would happen. So, all that being said, I mean, Winter Island is, in everyone's account, it's a jewel. It's one of those areas that in the summertime, at the height of when things are going, it is one of the most utilized spots in the city. My only comment, I mean, obviously the barracks and the hangar aside, my only comment about the Winter Island is that this is some of the comments that I hear is what we can do to enhance the bathrooms. I mean, obviously, there's the limited amount of bathrooms that we have in showers for the people who actually visit the beach and the people who actually come to camp there. Is somehow we could incorporate that in some of our capital moving forward, because it is one of those spots that is really extremely utilized. And it's tough because it's one of those spots, it's like there's only one way in, there's only one way out, and it's kind of, once you're there, you're there. And to enhance some of the amenities that were there, we've talked in the past about food trucks and whatnot, because, there are limited, once you're there, I mean, there is a camp store that sells, the camp stuff for the campers and stuff, but the part that, I mean, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse because we're talking about the budget, but the part that always gets me is, we took the federal funding for the ramp. And if you bring a boat, if you bring a boat in to launch a boat and bring your truck in with your boat, is $5 or $10, whatever it is now. It's less. So to bring your boat in on the back of your truck and to get a parking space is less than so you can come from whatever neighboring community you want and you can launch your boat. Or if you weren't coming just to spend the day, it would cost you twice as much to spend the day as it was to launch a boat. And my whole thing is, then when it gets really busy, we always seem to try to find spots to cram and put the truck and the trailer on site. For me, it's always been a logistical thing. You get to the point, if you have 40 spots for trucks, or whatever the spot number is, at what point does someone at the gate say, there's no more spots for your trailer, you can launch a boat, but you're gonna have to park it on Ford Avenue, you're gonna have to park, because there's no more spots on site, because I always find myself, when I go over there for some sort of event, or just go over, it's like all of a sudden you're seeing the boats and the trailers, the trucks and the trailers are no longer just in front of the hangar, they're around the back by the dumpsters. They try to squeeze them wherever they can, because at some point, I understand public access to the water, but we have 2 marinas. And once Winter Island is full, so to speak, then there should be some way to direct them towards McCabe, because McCabe seems to be underutilized, and then we seem to be overutilized in Winter Island. And I know why.
people want it.
Because, I know exactly why, because it is so close to the channel. So what happens is you go out, you putt for a little bit, you hit the no wake marker, and you're gone. If you launch at McCabe, you're putting up Beverly, through Beverly Harbor, all the way up past, Jubilee Yacht Club, all the way up, and it takes you probably a good extra, maybe half hour, 45 minutes, and that's another half hour, 45 minutes coming home. So I've always been of the opinion, and it's no disrespect to anybody who's a boater, that's a premium. We should be looking at ways to adjust the fees, that if you want to go to Winter Island, you should be, and I know it has something to do with the Department of Fisheries and however you go to change those rules, but I've always been of the opinion is people want to utilize Winter Island because of its quick accessibility to open water. And there should be an offset in cost. So people who are like, okay, if I'm going to launch my boat twice, 2 or 3 times a month from Winter Island and it's going to cost me more, do I want to spend the extra time to putt up the river? So that's just me, but I have Dave, whenever I've had an issue, I've called Dave, and he seems to, come summertime, he seems to live there. He's always there. So I don't have any issues with this budget whatsoever.
Well, I most certainly can talk to Bill McHugh and Dave and put it on the Park and Rec Commission agenda to look at those fees.
Yeah, I don't know how they get adjusted, and I don't know where, I know the launching fees go someplace else, but it also is like, are we mandated for a launching fee also to provide them with if we're obligated to provide them with a spot to park their truck and trailer, then why can't it be a split fee, or, as I just said, whatever, I don't know what that is, but it always seems that come height of summertime, all of a sudden, it's like you go over there and it's like, you go over for an event in the gazebo, or someone's having a cookout or whatever. Or someone I know maybe taking an RV in, which they do, to come in and spend, a week or so here. And all of a sudden you just go over and there's like boats and trailers crammed all over the place. And it's, when you're talking about something that's supposed to, be an experience for the people, the campers that we're renting to, as well as our own citizens, that all these things are crammed in all over the place. This is kind of a little unsightly, but that's just my personal experience. But I have no problem with the budget if there's no further discussion.
Okay. No further discussion. We need Councilor Dibble.
As a former boater, I echo the Ward 1 councilor's comments here, and I agree. I think McCabe should be less expensive and allow for the 3 parking there, but at Winter Island, we need to look at maybe restricting the all-day parking with trucks and trailers in there. You're just taking up too much space. You go down there and you can't find a parking space often on busy days. My question is back to the barracks building, and Mayor, have you ever put out an RFP for the barracks building? I echo Council Lovely's comments that let's just put it out in the street and see what we have. Have we ever put one out?
We haven't. We actually have a draft, because we've been exactly what you're talking about, saying we think there's interest in lodging, bed and breakfast type uses, and rather than put together another stakeholder group, maybe we should put it out and then bring a stakeholder group to review what we have. So it's been something that we've been talking with Kathy Wynn about trying to execute and move forward. That wouldn't be the whole hangar, it would just be that particular barracks building.
Barracks building, sure. I know under former Mayor Salvo, and God love him, or Mayor Harrington, I think it was Mayor Salvo, we did put an RFP out 25 years ago.
Okay, I'll have to track it down, I don't remember.
But it was not successful. I think it was just a wrong economy time, and now we have pretty good economy now. So, yeah, I echo Councilor Lovely's comments. Let's put it on the street and see what we get.
Okay, we'll take a look at it.
I think, I was just following up on the mayor, would love to have it up. As Council Dibble and I have said, here's another ball for you.
We got a lot, but we can, this is an important site, I love it, and it's a diamond in the rough, and it's been in the rough for a long time, so maybe it's time.
Any further questions, comments from committee members? Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing no comments, I move that we approve the Winter Island personnel in the amount of $177,366.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves that the Winter Island personnel expenses in the amount of $177,366 be approved, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I further move that we remove the Winter Island expenses in the amount of $52,300.
Second.
Councilor Dibble, you seconded?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great, thank you. So Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the Winter Island non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $52,300, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? All those opposed? Also passes. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move, we remove the department total amount of $229,666.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Fury. Councilor McCarthy moved to approve the total personnel and non-personnel budget for Winter Island in the amount of $229,666, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries.
Well, thank you. I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of my staff. It's an honor here to represent them. And as we tout these different directors of the areas, the Witch House, the golf course, Council on Aging, in Winter Island, they do an amazing job. I appreciate your support of them, and they make us look really good, and they serve the community well. We get lots of compliments at the Council on Aging Community Life Center about the people who come there, that it's not the building, it's the staff, and my staff really do present that to the public and are there for them. Incredibly helpful, and really take it personal to be able to assist everyone who walks in that building. And so I just appreciate your support and the Mayor and Sarah's support in my first year going through the budget process. So thank you.
Well, we're really grateful
you.
to have you. And I think talking about this in all of the parks that we have here, it's wonderful that we have so many options, that you can go to a Witch House, you can go to Pioneer Village, or you can go to Winter Island for the day, or you can go to Dead Horse Beach, or you can go to Camp Mountain. Or
So many choices. A beautiful city.
In one 8 square
spot.
mile
Yeah.
city.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Good job, sir.
Thanks.
At this time, does anybody want to take a break, or do we want to just jump right into
1 minute break.
1 minute break? Yes?
Are we going to start with public services with Dave?
Yep, okay. Yep, so recess for 1 minute.
$19.
19, public services,
Yes, 19.
which also includes snow and ice.
Yes, and so we have Dave Milton here, as well as Jenna Ide and Julie Wilson. And Julie. Perfect. Who wants to start? Do you want to give us an overview, or do you want to also let the record reflect that Dave gave us some updated performance outcomes and performance measures? Yes. As well.
So I think the most noticeable change to highlight is the transition of the custodial staff to the Public Properties Department. So you'll see that reflected in inspectional services under Tom St. Pierre. But Dave can sort of speak, and Julie can speak to the more line item based changes, but I think that's the largest one that you'll see, is the transfer of a couple bodies over to public property. There are also several capital projects as well.
Well, my main questions
Okay, Councilor
are through you, items that we talk about all the time, and Dave and I speak, is sidewalks and crosswalks. What's the status of the crosswalks currently? And your budget, I have no problem with. I just, crosswalks are a big thing, and we seem to be late getting them done. I'm in favor of, taking some money and contracting. I know I've talked with the mayor about that before, because it's June, and I know there's a lot that need to be done, and I know I'll let you address it, so it's always been a
Well, we
tough thing for me.
just finished the neighborhood street sweeping, so now we're ready to start to engage in the line striping and also the crosswalk striping throughout the city. We'll be doing that shortly. We have a contractor, Highway Systems, is on board with us, and we're working with them to develop the scope of work for the entrance corridors and then some of the neighborhood areas. We would like to stretch them as far as we can to get them to do as much as they can, and then we'll complement or supplement the work that they can't do with our own forces to get that going. So that's something we're going to be starting soon. You'll see that in the near future.
Do you know how many crosswalks we have?
A lot.
A lot. A lot. I couldn't.
Yeah, okay, I just didn't know, you know. And,
But we can, I mean, we can get that for you.
no, I don't, I just, you know, it's anecdotal, but it just, seems like we do have a lot. It just seems, it should be something, I know maybe you wait for street sweeping, but it seems like we should be on that a lot earlier, in my opinion. You know, because I think people see a crosswalk, they feel really good about their city, and they feel, you know, they really feel good that something's being done, oh, something's painted, they notice it, and for safety. So whatever you can do to speed that up, and I certainly be supportive of, I know budget's always a thing, but to get on it and maybe get because we only have one machine, right?
We do, right, our own light painting machine,
But we
right?
supplement it with we do have a contractor, and I agree with you. Both stop lines, you know, crosswalks, and those middle lines are really critical. I'm always astounded how, did paint used to last longer? Or like, what's the rationale for why I feel like we paint lines all the time and we don't have the longevity out of it? And I don't know if, when you were on before, did it feel like we had to paint as much? But it's definitely something that I agree, even if the road's not paved, but you've got new crosswalks and new lines, it really does freshen up how you feel about it.
Dave and I have talked about the heavier plastic or whatever it is, that it lasts 3 to 5 years, as opposed to when Bob Harvey goes out, it's, you know, not that he's not trying to do the best he can, but the paint just doesn't last. It's an annual thing. So maybe he does the lesser streets. We try to do the main streets where people are in danger of getting run over. Not that they're not on a smaller street, but try to use those pay a little bit more if we can.
Thermoplast is like more than 30% more.
It is 30%?
It's more than.
Oh, no, I didn't say 30%. I didn't know what the percent was. That'd be a no-brainer if it was 30%, right?
It's a lot more, but I hear you. We
Especially when we do the new streets, like around the Common. I mean, that's fantastic. I think people saw that and said, wow, this is really, really great. I mean, just by driving there. But, I think, I know nothing's cheap, but it's just, like, as you pointed out, it's something people really appreciate and see for the safety of their kids and for anybody crossing the street. And I just want to I saw you, 44 locations for sidewalks.
That's kind of a misleading.
It's gotta be more than that, right? No?
Yeah, it's kind of misleading because the sidewalks, you know, obviously.
Yeah, it depends on how
big they are.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think we can improve upon with the statistics is something that's a little bit more tangible as far as maybe square yardage of sidewalks, crosswalks, and whatever we're doing.
Are we gonna increase that this year, or does it look like we're gonna be doing more sidewalks than we have?
When we talk about the capital side,
all right,
we'll have a discussion about that.
Okay, thanks. I'm good.
Did any other member of the committee have any questions? Actually, you know what, just.
So one thing that I want to point out, sorry
Go ahead.
to interrupt them, is that we have rearranged the structure. Obviously, Dave is here serving in a dual capacity with respect to both the engineering and public services director. We've backfilled with a new senior engineer, assistant engineer, who will, given that Dave's assumed this role, will take on some of the engineering capacity. And we've really worked to both utilize in-house staff. Many of you know Ray Joden, just doing an outstanding job, you know, helping on the streets and sidewalks end of things. And then we hired new, from Ron Malionik leaving, to having Sean McCrae here to help with trees and cemeteries and open space. We have, excellent staff within water and sewer. So we're really trying to right-size this organization. And I think Dave's brought both, I think, some good technical expertise on the engineering side of things and allowed us to sort of be better at left-hand and right-hand operational areas where we have engineering going on. You know, it's always in the lane of public works, but having two separate directors, sometimes we had left-hand, right-hand issues. I think having Dave in that capacity means that happens less often, where, he's aware of what's happening from the capital perspective. For instance, Canal Street, day one, aware of what's happening from the water sewer, how that interplays with regard to the road work and the sidewalk work, and then obviously it's got a key role in the public services and operational aspect. So we're excited about, the direction things are moving in. Not to say the last model was a different model, a separate engineer, separate public works director. I feel like we've got a larger umbrella with personnel that are really utilizing each other's strengths to improve how we're delivering a broad array of services within the public works field. So we've appreciated sort of the support along the way. This year has sort of been a transition year, and I think we're almost finally fully 100% staffed. Maybe some of the retarees,
Right.
just getting those vacancies filled.
Yep.
But in terms of, Sean being new, Ray being moved up to a new position, having the senior engineer, that was a big hole for a while. And we've got somebody who comes very highly regarded from CDM. CDM coming over to us so he can pick up a lot of the work that Dave was doing previously and help with obviously the operational side as well. So this is a very different organizational structure than we've had in the past, but I think we're excited about moving things forward. And I should also say everyone's picked up more. Julie's picked up more work. Giovanna's picked up more work. So the staff, I think, is also really trying to support the effort. And we are a busy city. I don't know of another public service operation that has as much going on. Festivals, road races, activities. There is always something happening. We are, we're not a 5-day-a-week operation. And frankly, we're not a daytime operation. So we've got staff that are coming on in the evenings. We've got staff on the weekends. And we've, obviously have a seasonal aspect to a lot of what we do, given the amount of visitors that we have here, given the uptick in park usage. And that transition to this period of time before we have all of our seasonal workforce and here is definitely the trickiest time of year. And I just want to point out some of the differences that we're making. The goal is obviously to enhance the type of services we're providing from a public service perspective. That's everything from trees to streets and sidewalks and litter, just litter pickup, trimming of weeds, and doing it with a combination of both city personnel. We added 3 new personnel in terms of the current fiscal year's budget. So I think that was a response to the fact that we're a city that's growing and we're more active and we need more hands on board to help with that. And then trying to make sure we also have the right management and accountability standards as we tackle this, the myriad of issues that happen in a city of our size. For a small city, we are pretty active, pretty hot, I like to say. There's always stuff going on, and it definitely takes a constant tending.
Councilor Fury.
Madam Chairperson, we pumped a lot of money in, the state pumped a lot of money into infrastructure at Riley Plaza. This is the peak building season. It's dormant, nothing's going on. Do you see any future, any progress being made with the hotel commercial development on Riley Plaza? This is prime time building before the holiday, before the haunted happenings season. Have you heard anything?
I haven't. I'm not sure if the mayor has.
Yeah. So this is the new development across from Starbucks. That will be a Hampton Inn and a mixed-use project. The hotel is now taking the lead on the redevelopment of that site, and they are looking at making some modest changes to what was initially approved by the planning board and the SRA, in that the hotel footprint will probably get a little bit wider. If you are looking at that structure, right across from Starbucks is where the Hampton Inn is proposed, and then the mixed-use residential / office retail component kind of went up the hill, up Mill Hill. The hotel appears to be getting a little bit wider as part of the revamped project, and they really want to take the lead because they want to move a little bit faster. The developers, RCG, were finding their cost estimates for the mixed-use project were 40% increased from the bids they got just last fall. So they've seen substantial increases, and I was actually speaking with Secretary Ash about construction cost, and he was saying they're seeing this in a lot of projects, that it's just a boom time and construction estimates are ballooning, so much so that it's really cratering certain projects or causing changes that need to be made to reflect some of the increased costs. The hotel is much more bullish and wants to move forward. So we anticipate that what's going to happen is the hotel is going to take the lead as opposed to the mixed-use component, and that may actually start faster and get moving in a quicker fashion than if we waited on the mixed use and then the hotel to take place.
In the year 2017, do you anticipate, Mayor?
Yeah. So I'll know more when they're right now specking out exactly what changes they want to make. Are they minor or if they're major? If they're major, they'd have to go back through their processes. And if they're minor, it's just a little bit easier to go to the SRA and the planning board. So I think they're going to know that in the next week. But we are anxious. This was one of those hurry up and slow down, because we had all of the utility relocation work, the 100-year-old oil-filled cable line. They couldn't start until that project was completed. So everyone was pushing National Grid to move that project along because those utility lines needed to be moved out of their building area. Now that that's done, and then now we're waiting on them. So we just closed, 2 months ago now, on this, within the last couple of months on that actual piece of property. So they definitely know that we're anxious for them to get started. And I think we'll have a better idea of the timeline, Counselor, once they find out as a major or minor some of the modifications they're talking about on the hotel side. The good news is, absolutely going forward, the hotel is really bullish on Salem, and they're taking the lead because they want to advance it quicker.
Thank you.
Any other questions from that committee? Councillor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mayor, I just really strongly want you to know that your changes that you recently made in the Public Works and Public Services Department is working. Dave, put your earmuffs on because I don't want you to hear this, but he brings a level of professionalism that was missing. It was tough to get things done. I didn't share the countless arguments I had trying to get things done before Dave took over. I didn't share those with you. I tried to work with the system and it just didn't work. Now, things are fixed and I don't have to call him. They see it and they fix it. But when I do call him, I call you often. Mm-hmm. I certainly do. He's on top of it. So if it's pothole, I gave him a list of 18 potholes the other day. His crew went out and fixed all of them but one. It happened to be the biggest one that they forgot, which a motorcycle could fall into. It's this big around and about that deep. It's big, but it's hard to get at, and it's on the other side of Parallel Street. You have to go through the tunnel on Jefferson Avenue to get to that street that has only 4 houses on. And maybe the truck couldn't get through it. And Dave described, one of the homeowners complained to me the other day at Mayor Salvo's funeral. We were talking about at the cemetery after the burial, that it's been repaired a couple times, but it just lets go. So Dave committed to getting his crew down there not to do a cold patch because the truck can't get through there, but to do an actual proper patch. And that was yesterday's conversation, I think it was, I'm not sure. But on the weekends, I get responses. So you might have emailed me over the weekend, I forget when you replied. But it's working.
Great.
And it needs to keep working because he's not there yet. But the response has been phenomenal. The response that I got after the woman was hit on Lafayette Street at the bicycle path crossing, I reached out to the police department, Lieutenant Przewski, the next morning, and we met out there. That was on a Friday. The following Monday, I contacted Dave, and he said, let's go now. And we went out there and looked at it. And I said, what can we do? He said, well, boom, boom, X, Y, Z. Came up with ideas. This is the day, the next weekday after the woman was hit. He was already thinking about ideas that we can do. He put in for funding to design it and to build it, and we just installed them recently. With the help of the city engineering, city electrical department. So things get done like a business, which I'm a big fan of. It gets done professionally now. 15 months ago, Mayor, you suggested that the ward councilors walk their wards and look for deficiencies, broken sidewalks and trees that need work and graffiti and potholes and whatever else was wrong with the neighborhoods. And I think I was the only one stupid enough to say, yeah, that's a great idea. And I went and tried to do the whole ward last year. I walked about 2/3 of the ward with maybe 100, 120 residents usually one or two at a time, or like Chandler Road was 15 people at a time. And you saw the list, you saw how bad Chandler Road was, I saw how bad it was, and you went and looked at it and you repaved the street as a result of the walks. So Mayor, that walking the ward really worked, and this summer I'll be finishing, this summer and hopefully before fall, I'll be finishing walking every public street in Ward 7 with the residents that live there, looking at deficiencies. And I wanted to type up the list and hand you an Excel spreadsheet of the list of potholes, the tree work, new trees, sidewalks, hot top sidewalks, etc. And you said, no, use C-Click Fix, and I didn't know what C-Click Fix was, but now I can see the benefit to it. But I think it slowed down the repairs that might be needed through C-Click Fix. So Dave, please keep working with C-Click Fix. I think it's going to work if we can streamline the effort. I see the benefit of C-Click Fix. I hated it at first. It took forever to enter all the data. I reached out to our constituent services director for help for a second wave of another 400 odd improvements that were needed. We first entered about 400 improvements that were needed, and the second time with C-Click Fix, there was another 400. That was from last fall. Those changes still haven't been entered in. So I'm going to meet with our constituent service director, take back my list, and enter all those in myself, Dave, so that you can start working on those improvements before I start walking the rest of the streets and entering even more data for this summer. So my goal is by early fall is to have all of the ward walked. I know it's only
Warning.
I know it's only 1/7 of the city, but we've already found about 800 deficiencies, all sorts of things. And
Counselor, can we
sorry.
I'm sorry, can we get back to any budget specific questions?
With regard to the budget, what more, there's a whole lot of sidewalk repairs, both bituminous concrete sidewalks and regular concrete sidewalks that haven't been touched upon at all, except for a couple of minor changes. When can the list from last spring that we typed in start being worked on for sidewalk repairs? You've started to work on the tree work, which is not costly at all. It's just pruning, it's labor mostly. And I'm thankful for that, but the sidewalks haven't seemed to be moved at all.
You bring up a good point. There is a kind of a large backlog of issues that are on C-Click Fix, and we're working through those. Like with anything, we try and prioritize them high, medium, low, and then attack the high priority issues, and we will be doing that, and we've been starting to do that over the past 3 months as the winter weather is behind us now, and we get into the summer mode of making the repairs. We do have a new on-call contractor that's going to be working on sidewalks, handicap ramps throughout the city. There's a couple of areas that he's going to be focusing on initially, but then we hope, based on funding, that we'll be able to spread him out throughout the city and start to attack some of those bigger, larger areas that really need it, that are higher priorities.
You'll see an additional 1.2 million beyond the 897,000 appropriation for Chapter 90 to tackle roads, sidewalks, items that aren't eligible for Chapter 90. So it's an additional $1.2 million in funding, which is keeping with the past couple of years of going above and beyond in capital funding to address those needs.
The needs are great. There's no question about that. We just recently signed a contract with this contractor, Tasco, out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, a well-known, well-run contracting firm that specializes in sidewalk repairs, brick, concrete, can deal with cobbles when needed, can do handicap ramps. So we will fully engage them. We've already been talking to them about having multiple contract crews out in different parts of the city, and we'll be implementing that very soon.
I'd like to ask that you reconsider the way that you do business, or the way that the previous director did business with establishing the high, medium, low ranking, and to prioritize repairs to a given sidewalk, if you would, whether it's a really bad sidewalk, high use area, because it's frustrating to residents of a street. For example, if they walk a street with me and we look at 3 or 4 trees that need to be pruned, it's on one short street, and yet the tree crew comes in and prunes the one middle house. And everybody in the street knows that these 5 trees are going to be pruned, but this tree crew came and just did one. Right. This is a real example. Pershing Road. They did one tree in the middle of the whole street, and the other ones didn't get done. It's like the same thing with sidewalks. High, medium, low. I've heard the ranking of them, But if somebody has a high tripping hazard, a really bad sidewalk, it's a high priority. The next door is it's a smaller tripping hazard, but it's right next door. We made the repairs to one house and not the next house. So the high, medium, low doesn't really work if we're talking about neighborhood. If we only have a few sidewalks to repair on one street, or a few trees to prune on one street, let's bang out the whole street and be done with it. Instead of just focusing only on the high, medium, low does not work when we're talking about problems with the infrastructure.
I agree with you, and, kind of going in and cherry picking just the bad ones and leaving something that, when you mobilize to that location anyway, it makes absolutely most sense to take care of a bigger area to address all those issues. We're working toward that.
Yeah, the listing that we're entering into See-Click Fix is geographical. It goes right down one side of the street and right back up the other side street, entered in order. And that's, I think, the really way you should be focusing on it more, because if there's, like you just said, if there's 3 sidewalks on that street, take care of all of them. Not just the one that's really bad and forget the ones that are just okay.
I think that we need to just, one thing to keep in mind, and I appreciate the input, and I think we definitely try and group, projects. Like we would fill a pothole, you don't want to be tripping over one, you get to 2 and leave it as your prior example. I will say with sidewalks, and particularly when we do these inspection service walks, Counselor, I'm glad that you're doing yours. Some ward counselors have done it. We do them. I was out, we were in the Point neighborhood already. We've got Ward 4 and Ward 6 scheduled, I think, for later this month, tomorrow. So we're doing a lot of these inspectional services walks, entering all this data, and when you download huge sums at once, it creates a little bit of a system difficulty for us, because we do need to do some triage. There are 7 wards, and you did a great job going out and identifying every single issue. We've got to prioritize. We've got walk audits, we've got sidewalk data. So we're trying to group information, not be penny wise and pound foolish, meaning leave things, but when there's a lot of requests for sidewalk, we do need to do some triage around what are the ones that are in the worst conditions, that are real trip hazards or impacting somebody who's physically challenged getting down a street, or anybody in a stroller, that sort of a thing. So it's a little bit of a dance trying to marry the groups where it makes sense. And like you said, we're deploying and trying to not deploy several times. In the same vein, there are precious resources, so we want to make sure we're tackling the worst areas. You've got areas in 7. I can look at every single ward counselor here and know that you've all got trouble spots, and we're trying to feed all the birds in the nest. And so I just ask you to keep that in mind. We are trying to balance as many opportunities as we can to help address these circumstances when they arise, and trying to do it smart as well.
I've been patient, and I'll continue to be patient. It's been a year since I entered the first round. Dave was not here then, and nothing got done. And Dave comes on board, and all of a sudden, my old list from a year earlier is getting done. So I appreciate his efforts.
And I appreciate your patience. I'm just saying, when we download, I was just out in the Point neighborhood, we put a bunch of new things in. It doesn't mean that every single one of them is a high priority. It just means they all got entered at the time because we were out there looking for things. And guess what? We found them. We found lots of stuff that needs attention. So we're doing that in every single ward. So we then need to be mindful about, okay, how do we actually tend to these areas? And sometimes there are people screaming the loudest. We want to be mindful of, when people are asking for things and what we're seeing on these walks, and what actually, might be a high priority just based on the condition, of course. And that all factors in, as you can imagine.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Are you?
Yeah, I have one separate issue that completes my whole list for this. If we can speak...
It has to do with the budget.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It's part of the budget.
Okay.
May I?
Okay. Briefly.
Can you give us an update on the Loring Canal Jefferson intersection that includes the list of the changes that were proposed by the neighborhood?
Right. First and foremost, there was, you brought up an issue about the timing of the left turn signal onto Jefferson from coming northbound on Loring Ave. That information has been sent to MassDOT, District 4, to their traffic operations engineer. It is their intersection, it's their lights. They need to review that and get back to us. I just had a conversation with them this morning that they're looking at it, and then hopefully get back to me soon. I've expressed your concern that we want to get this resolved as soon as possible to make the traffic flow through there as efficiently as possible. Some of the other bigger issues that we've talked about have been addressed by AECom, our consultant. They've responded back in not the easiest format, I think, for you or for myself to follow your original issues, and I've asked them to reformat the responses into the spreadsheet type of information that you had as we talked about, and I'm just waiting to get that back. As soon as I do, I will let you know, and we can sit down again and talk, and the next step would be then to take that to District 4 and have those changes incorporated into the Canal Street project.
When do you think we'll have an update? No, I'll stop there. When do you think we'll have the update back per the list of recommendations? I would
hope by the end of this week, maybe early next week.
Is there anything in the budget that is needed to complete this project?
No.
The list, if you will. No. Okay. Thank you.
Any other counselors have questions? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just before I proceed, just I want to thank Dave. Dave and I have had a long relationship over the years, and he's always been very, even people early on used to say, how do you get a hold of Dave? I go, I know when to call him, I see no one, I see him, and we have an understanding. And the only question, I'm not going to sit here and talk about lists and stuff like that, because it's a triage, Dave. And it's simplistic to say you should, when you're on a street, you should just finish the street. But if there are 27, high priority things that need to be dealt with and something else on the street, yeah, it's simplistic to say that we should be fixing the whole street at once. And I understand that. You shouldn't be moving equipment around, but obviously it's a triage, and I leave that up to you. I mean, that's your decision, that's your discretion, because it's your department. Far be it from me to tell you how to run your department. I mean, you have to do the best you can with what you got and the resources that we have in order to direct them the way that we need to make the city as safe as possible. And you've always done that for me, and I appreciate that. But my only question is, we took a big undertaking last year. We tried to pave 8 miles of road in 1 year, which is probably more than we've ever done, and it seems like we're just getting to the point where we're finishing Sunshine is finishing last year. When do you anticipate that work from last year will be done, so we can start moving forward with some of the stuff that, I've got sections of Derby Street that I need done and some other things, and I'm not going to sit here and talk just about my ward, but when do you anticipate Sunshine being done with last year before we can start moving forward with next year?
Right now, the schedule is to have them substantially complete by July 4th.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, it's all weather dependent.
Yeah, I know.
We're getting a lot of rain lately. You really don't want to do final paving in the rain. Sometimes you do it, you don't really want to,
Yep,
but
I understand.
depending on certain circumstances. But, as long as the weather stays decent and we get a number of good days, we should be done by July.
Because I can't tell you how many times people have come to me and said, I can't believe that we can't pave streets or we ran out of money. It has nothing to do with the money. It has everything to do with the timing of it. The money has been budgeted for that. It has been contracted for that. It's going to be taken care of. It's just that the whole timing of the thing, we try to be mindful and respectful of the different large events that go on in the city, and also, the budget gets passed, we get the money come July 1, then we got to put it out to, then once we have the money, then we put it out to bid. By the time all the bids come back, you're not looking to mobilize till August, September, and the last thing we want to do is start ripping out streets in October. So then we try to do the outskirts and squeeze everything in the middle.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, last year we bid off, and, no disrespect to anybody, we were very aggressive, and unfortunately, they stopped making hot top at a point because they closed the plants, so I get that, so I'm not.
I think we learned that when you triple the amount of roadways you've done,
Yep.
It's a lot to manage and it's a lot to get done. I think, but we also needed every single one of the roads. I wish we had $3 million every year to spend on roads, because we know we need it, but managing that, not just frankly us, like finding a contractor that's actually big enough to mobilize enough crews to do this work. in as timely a fashion is definitely tricky.
Yeah, because you end up with streets of raised castings for extended amounts of time because they want to get
One
ahead.
crew's raising castings, one crew's,
And then they
you
wanna
know,
come-
digging
yeah,
out.
No,
and then,
logistically, it's, it can be a nightmare.
So we are working on trying to improve the sequencing, so we don't have raised castings open for weeks while we're waiting on that last layer of pavement to come. And we're pressing Sunshine to add as many crews as they can. I mean, I think they've done a good job with what they've done, it's just we need more bodies. Is that fair?
Absolutely, and they know that, take Derby Street, for instance, they can't leave castings raised for a week or even a weekend. I've stressed that to them, and the plan we have now has them raising castings in 2 days, and then on the third day they pave. And then that third day when they're paving, they start another section. So we're gonna do it in thirds. The day that they're paving, they'll start raising castings on the next section, do 2 days of castings, and then pave again. And the plan would be not to have any raised castings over the weekends, and to get it paved as quickly as possible.
Because we know we have road races and other activities going on. I think the other component of this is not Sunshine, is we also had all this paving going on in Riley Plaza as part of the Mass Works grant, finishing that up, and those decorative crosswalks. And so we've had a lot of, we're going through a growth spurt, and we've got a lot of roads that we're tackling, not to mention the Canal Street work. So it's hard to drive more than a couple of miles without finding a casting raised, a roadway project underway, or crosswalks being done in a way that we hope will last for a really long time. But there's definitely a lot going on right now.
No, I'm not, and I'm not being critical. I'm not just, it was more just a curiosity because I know we undertook a lot last year, more than in my term on the council, more miles. When you want to, it's easy to talk about how many roads. We're talking about miles of roads. And when we talk about miles, how many miles of road we took on last year. And unfortunately, we were very aggressive and we needed to be so, but unfortunately it just didn't work. So I understand that. And it's just that, when you do deal with the uneven surfaces, the raised casting, especially over winter season, people start questioning. And, if I've been asked the questions, I've reached out to you and you've been very responsive about what the timeline's going to be to finish that stuff. And I appreciate that.
We're also trying to keep everyone updated through Building Salem about when the paving project will be completed, especially given that we've dug out some of the reveals, so the lips are now apparent, and we want to get that final layer of paving down as soon as possible.
And I just want to echo that I appreciate the comments with regards to Salem. This came up when we were at the budget retreat. I firmly believe that, Salem doesn't, go Monday morning, 8 o'clock till Friday at noon. And, we're a 24-hour city, 7 days a week. And especially this department needs to reflect that because of, what this department needs to do to keep the city clean. And I don't need to tell you what you need to do, what you need to, but it's just, anything we can do to enhance that, you'll always have my support in order to try to enhance whatever we need to do.
Thank you.
So all that being said, I move that we move.
Actually, wait, I have some comments. Sorry.
That's okay.
That I will also say that it was, I guess, a relief to me when I actually got outside of Salem and went to other cities and towns last fall and they were still paving. And I was like, it's not just us. So.
The season's short in New England. I mean, so every city or town is trying to get things done between, frankly, Memorial Day to Halloween. Like, that's it. That's the timeline. And so there is a crunch, I think, for personnel to get out there and get it done. And when towns approve their budgets sooner than cities do, so, we are trying to figure out a cycle that works as effectively as possible, considering budget cycles, roadway cycles, seasonal cycles.
When monies get released cycles.
Yep.
And in terms of the trees, briefly, I know I had reached out to you and reached out to Sean about some trees in my ward, and they still haven't been addressed. And they were supposed to have been addressed.
Okay.
So I just wanted to plug that for a second. But anyway, Councilor McCarthy.
Seeing no further discussion, thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve public services general personnel in the amount of $1,734,825.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves the Public Services Administration support budget for personnel in the amount of $1,734,825, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move that we approve public services general expenses in the amount of $752,891.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves that the non-personnel expense budget for Public Services Administration support, and which is seconded by Councilor Dibble, for the amount of $752,891. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move to approve the department total in the amount of $2,487,716.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expenses for Public Services Administration support, seconded by Councilor Fury, in the amount of $2,487,716. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Matter is approved. On to the next section, to snow and ice.
I would also like to highlight for FY18 as our last year of the amortized snow and ice debt from FY15. It's very exciting what we've done with the great snowstorm of FY15. So in addition to the 1.3 million, a little bit over, almost 1.4 million of our deficit this year, we are last year of the 661,000 from FY15.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Can I ask, what is the piloting the use of brine to pre-treat roads?
That's one of the things we,
Like, what I would season it.
it's a pre-treatment of the roads rather than just putting calcium down.
Marinate your turkey.
It's a heavily salted turkey.
Whatever's left over, throw it on the road.
There's a number of different brines, from byproduct of brewing beer to all kinds of different vegetable products that
There
are out
was
there.
a corn oil that was
Yeah,
really
it's-
popular for a while. so.
It's all kind of organic stuff, but it actually can be, if used right, it can be a more effective way of pre-treating roads so that the early snow doesn't stick as quickly, and you don't end up plowing as quickly as you would if you just put the salt down. Salt is a little more expensive as well, but it would take special equipment, a special truck to actually deliver that and spread it out on the road. So it's something we want to look at.
That might be funny to have like a Notch beer brine.
There you go.
Session pills.
Might be cheaper to buy beer than some of the products.
Yeah.
Have a spark from the tree cider. Something. Thank you.
You waste good beer though, right?
Any other questions from committee members? Councilor Dibble?
Years ago, decades ago, the previous Public Works Director had in the budget talked about El Nino and forecasting what the weather might be this year. How do you look at the budget for snow each year? And do you consider El Nino?
I don't, to be honest with you.
So the budget is flat because the Department of Revenue is one of their sort of unique quirks, has indicated that if you increase your snow and ice budget, it is increased in perpetuity. You can never reduce it. So it looks a little bit bananas, right, to have a 458,000 snow and ice budget when we spent 1.3 million this year. But if you have a winter where you spend 1.3 million, that's 1.3 million. If you budgeted for it, they can never be reduced to reflect. So I think the snow and ice budget has been flat in my 4.5-year tenure here. I think it's been flat, Mayor, for a while since you've been in office. So I think the logic perhaps is less around meteorological, I'm so tired, weather forecasting versus the Department of Revenue.
And the forecasting hasn't been that great either. From the Farmer's Almanac to any news station. We're always in that mode when the storm's coming and try to figure out exactly when it's going to start, how much snow we're going to get, how cold it's going to be. And I don't think there were many that were really right this whole past winter that I experienced. Even the blizzard that really didn't come through for us. We were planning for a big, heavy snow and just kind of fizzled out on us.
We have done a great job through the purchasing department. She'll be on deck, I think, next Tuesday about making sure that we're competitively bidding everything from calcium chloride to our salt contract to gasoline to ensure that even in the hardiest of winters, we still have a competitive price for the resources that we use.
I had received a bunch of complaints this year scattered around different streets in Ward 7 about not plowing closer to the curb or to the curb. And you get those complaints all the time, I'm sure. But these were, and I talked to the drivers, 2 of them, and they complained about the tree branches that were coming out. And I looked at my list, and these trees were on the list waiting to be pruned. So it's like catch-22. They won't plow because the trees are in the way, and the tree is not being pruned. Just bring that to your attention that it's one more reason to prune the trees.
Absolutely.
Not just for be able to walk down the sidewalk, but the plow drivers couldn't get to the curb because the branches were in the way.
They risk damaging the truck.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, we don't want that either.
Okay, thank you.
Understood.
Any further questions from the committee? Comments? Nothing? Council McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve these totals of snow and ice personnel in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves for approval of the public services snow and ice personnel expenses in the amount of $50,000, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? All those, okay, good. All those opposed? So moved. Council McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move we approve the total of snow and ice expenses in the amount of $408,935.
Second.
Council McCarthy moves to approve the non-personnel snow and ice public services expenses in the amount of $408,935, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Council McCarthy?
Further move we approve the total of $458,935.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expenses for the snow and ice budget in the amount of $458,935, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? All those opposed?
We're doing engineering.
Passes. Yeah. Okay. Engineering.
Section 20, engineering. So the most notable change in this that you will see this year is just the reapportioning of David's salary, Julie Champ, and helping put this budget together, both for Public Works and for engineering and for all the enterprise funds, and making sure that we're appropriately apportioning off salary. You'll also see the addition of Chuck Dam, probably the coolest name for an engineer.
He's a water guy.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
And we'll address the water, sewer, and trash enterprise funds, obviously separately. It's engineering administration.
Anyway, Councilor McCarthy?
I don't see any problems with the engineering department budget. It's reflective of the change in Dave's shift in responsibilities, so if there is any discussion, I would move for approval.
Second.
Move for approval of the,
I'll go through them, but I just
okay,
wasn't sure. of
great.
those.
Okay.
So seeing no discussion, I move that we move engineering personnel in the amount of $94,394.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves for approval of the engineering budget, the personnel expenses in the amount of $94,394, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move that the total engineering expenses in the amount of $6,200.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve non-personnel expense budget for engineering in the amount of $6,200, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move the department total in the amount of $100,594.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expenses for the engineering budget in the amount of $100,594. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries to the enterprises.
So it's 27
and 20.
sewer public services. One thing you will note this year that's unique from last year is that there is no increase to water, sewer, or trash. Typically, as part of the enterprise fund budgets, we would be talking about rate increases or things related to that. But this year, in an effort to keep costs down and a little lightness for taxpayers, there is no proposed increase for water, sewer, or for trash. You'll also see that the apportionment of the salaries is reflective in each enterprise fund.
If I can ask a question about organization code 600032 and object code 5245, the infrastructure repair supplies.
What was the last four?
Becky, you're talking about the $50,000 request?
Yes.
So there was a $50,000 request in both water and in sewer. We moved it into capital where it'd be more appropriately funded. Rather than increase the operating budget and the impact on ratepayers in the first year, we moved it over to capital.
Nice. Smart.
So you'll see that reflected in section 7 in the water sewer enterprise fund capital, which is separate from general fund.
Any further questions? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President.
Madam Chair, thank you though, but Madam Chair.
Promotion.
Council President, I apologize. I see that Julie Rose is here. Julie, can you give us a fast update on waste management? How are you working out with this new vendor of ours?
Wait, I'm sorry, we're on
On
sewer.
trash.
No, we're on, we haven't, we're
on public.
still,
We're
yep,
sewer.
we're still doing sewer.
I yield.
We're getting there, though.
I like
We're in section 20, I like the spunk, but we're in section 27.
You had really time to mentally prepare, Rachel.
I have been.
Okay, so were there any further questions about the public services sewer enterprise?
Also, I should note, you'll see the assessments for for those products such as myself, the Salem Beverly Water Supply Board assessment and the SESD assessment are taken in the treasurer's budget. So when you, kind of odd, just the structure of things. So the treasurer pays for all of those assessments. So if you're wondering where SESD and Salem Beverly Water Supply are, they are in the treasurer's budget. We'll be taking that up Tuesday night, along with the water sewer debt.
All of our assessments are in there, so any assessments to Essex
Tech.
Tech, they come under the treasurer's
Retirement
line item
board,
because they get paid, frankly, at the beginning of the fiscal year in one lump sum. Generally.
It's a big deduction.
And I will say that we've done a ton of water and sewer work. Obviously, we have projects underway, and we really felt like the way we've been managing the system, especially the authorities themselves have done a pretty good job of holding the line, both at Beverly Salem Water Supply Board and SESD, that we don't need a rate increase this year. And we have, as I think councilors know, we have tried to look at 2- and 3-year trends for water and sewer rates, as opposed to trying to have spikes and keep something consistent. I don't think we need one this year, based on what we have available for us in those departments or in those particular authorities, and the fact that they're doing a pretty good job so far of holding the line.
Any further questions on it? Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing no further comments, I move that we move the total sewer public services personnel in the amount of $376,511.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the sewer enterprise public services personnel expense budget in the amount of $376,511, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those, is everyone in favor? I saw 2 hands. Okay, got it. So, Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move the sewer public services expenses in the amount of $188,622.
Seconded, but it's non-personnel expenses.
Yeah, the public, okay, non-personnel.
Thank you. Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the non-personnel expenses for public services, the sewer enterprise, in the amount of $188,622, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed?
Further move that, Madam Chair, that the department total in the amount of $565,133.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you. So Council McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel, non-personnel expense budget for sewer for public services in the amount of $565,133, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Opposed? Excellent. Onward.
Sewer engineering.
Oh, it's broken up?
Engineering the sewer enterprise.
Broken up between.
Gotcha.
Okay. What are MIU boxes?
Excuse me?
MIU boxes? In the significant budget and staffing changes, activating the new MIU boxes for new meters?
The reading, the boxes that read the meters and bring the readings in electronically.
Got it. Thank you.
The electronic senders.
Yes.
Oh, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you. I'd just like to reiterate the fact that why everyone else glancing through the budget with regards to this part is, reflective. You're looking at a 0% change in expenses, a modest change for staffing, personnel, and the fact that we're holding these expenses flat for the year. So we're not looking at a rate increase. If there's no further discussion, I move for approval.
Second.
Okay. So,
I'd move that we move the total sewer engineering personnel in the amount of $157,198.
Second.
thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the sewer enterprise engineering personnel expense budget in the amount of $157,198, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Okay. Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move that we approve non-personnel expenses in the amount of $227,150.
Give a second.
Second.
Council McCarthy moves to approve the non-personnel expenses for the engineering sewer enterprise in the amount of $227,150, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? And Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move that we approve the department total amount of $384,348.
Second.
So Council McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel, non-personnel expense budget for the sewer enterprise and engineering for a total of $384,348, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Okay.
So we skip ahead, skipping the assessments, which would be done under the treasurer's office, to public services, water enterprise, and also engineering water enterprise, section 28. The mirror image of what we just discussed.
It was good to see that the water main breaks are decreasing.
Yeah, yeah.
Madam Chair,
Sorry, Councilor McCarthy.
if I may, to the director. Dave, how are we doing on accounting for lost water?
We, trying to remember the numbers, I think.
Nothing I'm gonna hold you to. Is the number down?
I think it went up a little bit this year. We're typically in the 13 to 14, 15% range. I think we're on the higher end of that right now.
Okay.
For this past year. I think it's just indicative of the amount of water that was used. A lot of water, so we metered out a lot of water. Didn't bill as much as, in past years, but it's still a very small percentage.
So I know the past couple of years, there's been a couple major breaks in the line coming from Beverly, underneath the harbor, and some different spots in Beverly itself.
Yep.
And I know Beverly's doing a ton of road work, that prior to that, we replaced, part of some of our infrastructure repairs, we were doing work in Beverly, replace some of those main lines coming into Salem so that we, keep everyone in water. But specifically with, I know the new system, the new metering system in the way that we just talked about briefly, about the way that the, those little sensors can send you those reports. Have we been able to, go out and find some of the, identify when we're having leaks in the, obviously noticing, okay, why are we having an increase, why is there still water being used at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Right, we do have that capability now. We can query the system, and we can look at a trend of, right, typically we look at 30 days. If there's been 30 days of continued water use, we send out a form letter to the homeowner and just let them know that we've noticed this. A lot of times, it is indicative of some kind of a leaky toilet or some kind of plumbing issue in the house. Sometimes it can be actual use. We get the housing authority has a lot of different, depending on the size of the building, you could have use 24/7, but I think it's been helpful. I think the response has been very good. Just giving the people a heads up that they could be using that water and it could be an issue.
So all the newer meters are all in throughout the city, both commercially and residential?
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes, Madam Chair. I was a recipient of one of those letters, and I was shocked to get it, that I might have a leak in my house. So we tested the toilets, and lo and behold, one bathroom that we very rarely use because our children have moved on. They're long out of college, and that one toilet, you can't hear it leaking, you can't hear it at all, but yet it was leaking. So it's fixed, and it wouldn't have been without the letter. So how often do you send out not how often, how many of those letters on an annual basis roughly would you send out, ballpark number?
3,500. About 3,500, about around 300 a month, and what we do is we send them out for 3 months in a row. So for example, if you hadn't responded and fixed that and it ran for 2 more months, we would have sent you 3 and then we stopped, just assuming that people aren't caring about them. So about 3,500 a year we sent out. And we provide the tablets for people if they do have, issues like that, they want to come to the office and they can test those.
Nice added bonus, if you would, to the homeowners. So thank you for doing that.
If I could ask just some clarification, it seems like the salaries, the full-time salaries seem like they're fluctuating. Like we adopted 334, but then we adjusted for 316, but now we're...
So it's just how we're apportioning it. So some of it's just that we took a more accurate look at how are we putting people, what budgets they belong in. Should we split Dave between trash, water, sewer, public works, a little bit of engineering. Julie and Nina Bridgman and Dave, myself, we all spent a lot of time trying to accurately reflect. So no one's salary has been adjusted or decreased or increased, with the exception of a 3.5% increase for Julie Rose, a 3% increase for Dave. But otherwise, it's just how we're apportioning out the salaries. It's not that we approved one person's salary and then cut or increased or reduced. It's just reflective of where it's being paid out of.
Okay. And then is that also reflective as to why the FTEs went up?
Yes, so it's again where it was apportioned. So where did we put new person Chuck Dam? Where are we putting the several parts of Dave Knowlton? Where are we splitting the several parts of Ollie? Where are we splitting the several parts of Julie Rose? So it's really that they're all one employee, but how we pay them is over separate line items. And we highlight that in each budget in which they're paid, just to make sure it's reflected.
Okay. And then in terms of the infrastructure supplies, it was nothing, then $100,000.
Same thing, it was moved to capital.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilor McCarthy.
Seeing no further discussion, we move water public services personnel in the amount of $392,951.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the Water Enterprise Public Services Personnel Expense Budget in the amount of $392,951, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move non-personnel expenses in the amount of $212,222.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the non-personnel expense budget for Water Enterprise Public Services in the amount of $212,222, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Okay. And Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you. Further move the department total in the amount of $605,173.
Second.
Council McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel, non-personnel expense budget for the Water Enterprise and Public Services in the amount of $605,173, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay.
So then the second half is the water engineer.
Council McCarthy.
Hey, Madam Chair, I just want to reach out to Mr. Dave. How are we doing with the water towers?
They are essentially done. Both of them have been rehabbed. The Folly Hill Reservoir up in Danvers and the Gallows Hill tank in Gallows Hill.
So Gallows Hill tank. And,
That's been repainted.
Where are we, and this is probably a discussion for another day, but I'll just throw it out there once. Once and I'll leave it. Where are we with the, I mean, the whole Lowe's slash Walmart project that never went through, and the tower, or the water tower that was proposed up there that's going to help alleviate some of those pumping stations that we got along Island Avenue that seem to be overburdened at certain times of the year. Where are we? I mean, that's like way on the back burner? And I'm very grateful that we've fixed the one in Danvers, because that was in big trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we redid the one up in Gallows. But where are we down the road with that one? Just briefly. No, I mean, the 30-second overview.
I mean, I would say two things. One, I think this is a new tower that would need to be built, so we were hoping obviously to have the cooperation of Lowe's as part of that effort. And Lowe's when they were going in, and also if that land was going to be redeveloped, we obviously were going to be moving the tower to accommodate the development on that lot as part of that whole project. It doesn't look like, I mean, obviously the Lowe's project isn't going forward. The question that we would have is there any development capacity or capability up there? That's not actually in Salem, that's in Lynn, and that's not owned by the city, that's owned by Camp Lion. So I think we need to close the loop with them once and for all to find out, look, do you want us to put the tower in a location where it would allow for you at some point down the road, if you so desire, to do some development? And if that's the case, there was some additional cost related to that.
Right.
And are you willing to support that effort? And once we close that loop, if the answer to that is yes, and move it, and we'd have to work through those logistics. If the answer is no, we could put it where we were going to put it, on our land, which is a little bit lower, but it would preclude them from doing anything.
Right, no.
So before we pull that final trigger, I think we're hoping to get some
Fair enough.
finality, so to speak, with the Camp Lions folks and the city of Lynn on what their desires are for that space. I just don't think we have it.
Okay, that's fair.
Councilor Devlin.
While we're on the topic, thank you, Madam Chair, of looping, if you would, looping the water system. Recently, the city did a study of Loring Avenue down to the Swampscott border, Village of Venice Square area, to determine all the different gates and other things that have been put in over the years to figure out these two lines that go side by side, and what is the result of that study? And do we need to do some other things? Because years ago, Dave, we talked about looping from Venice Square over through Swampscott Road over to where the Good Ward 1 Council was just talking about on Highland Avenue, and making the city truly looped.
Right.
Where are we at with that study?
Yeah. Well, the looping.
All right, is this, again, we're talking about the budget.
Yes.
So what exactly, where is this in this particular part of the budget?
Madam Chair, it's not in, I imagine it's in here because the study was in here, was funded, and any work might be in here. But historically, what we've done in this committee is take the opportunity to ask questions of each of the department heads pertinent to the budget or future budget, and things that were just spent from a previous budget, and where we're at with that construction or design or whatever it be.
I mean, I know because I've been on this committee longer than you have. I know what we usually do historically. I just want to make sure that we're staying on topic, that we're not going so far afield that it slows the meeting down.
We were just talking about looping and the water tower on Highland Avenue.
Okay.
And the discussion was expanded to the looping of the same from Ward 7 to that system, or not, or just independent looping, which last budget, we funded a study for Loring Avenue looping of the water. We're on water, and it's about budget, so I'm asking the follow-up question that the good Ward 1 counselor just asked about the same thing on Highland Avenue.
Okay, let's just try to keep it moving, please.
Thank you.
So the looping that you refer to, going up Swampscott Road, was considered back before I started with the city. And a decision was made to actually provide a loop in Loring Ave itself. So we've got a 16-inch main and we've got an 8-inch main that are there. So that provides the redundancy to get water to the Vinnet Square area. So that's in itself is the loop that we were looking for, the city was looking for. Recently, we had a contractor come in, Walks Water, to do a pilot study in the Loring Ave area to actually go in and operate valves and exercise valves. And they've completed that. They developed a list of valves that needed to be repaired. The nuts had been worn off, had to be replaced. There was some that had to be excavated and the gates exposed so that we could actually get on them and operate them. That work has been done. And then what will ultimately result in will be a capital improvement plan for the remaining valves that are there to either replace or rebuild as needed. So I'm still waiting to get something back from Walks Water with the final results. But they were just in recently, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and they did the repairs to a number of valves in that area. As soon as I get the final report from them with the recommendations, I can share that with you.
So within this budget here, does it include the work to those gates and valves?
No, that would be part of the CIP, the water improvements there.
The CIP that's before this budget or next year's CIP?
I believe this year's CIP.
This year's?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Okay, Councilor McCarthy.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the water engineering personnel in the amount of $157,198.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the personnel expense budget for the water enterprise engineering in the amount of $157,198, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you. Further move to approve the engineering water non-personnel expenses in the amount of $440,375.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the non-personnel expense budget for the water enterprise and engineering in the amount of $440,375, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you. Further move we approve the department total in the amount of $597,573.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount for the water enterprise engineering in the amount of $597,573, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Next, trash.
Lastly is trash enterprise. The changes that you'll see in personnel are a couple. One is that you'll see Dave is portioned off in there this year. You'll also see the transfer of Jimmy Albert, hopefully soon to be returning at some point. Intern for the trash department who was previously funded under engineering. So this is really more reflective of his important role in helping us out with recycling and trash.
I will say that I was very impressed to see that the tons of recycling went up by 34%. That's incredible. And that's fantastic considering that the trash only went up by 10%. I think that's great.
Julie Rose is not here to mess around on recycling.
I mean, it really does speak to the incredible tenacity of Julie and the entire Salem Recycles Committee that we continue to take on, more projects. This Repair Cafe being the latest, which, may not necessarily directly relate to tonnage, but it's just a tremendous opportunity in our community to create the culture where we're reusing things, the e-waste recycling days that we have. There's just so much innovation that happens. And this is a volunteer group, with the exception of Julie, that just puts in yeoman's work, is really thoughtful, And just, I don't know that we'd be anywhere where we are without the collection of individuals who are so committed and so passionate, and our worker bees, really on so much of this stuff. It wouldn't happen without Julie's leadership, and I think we've got a tremendously good reputation with DEP and other state agencies who want to work with us. We're leveraging all these dollars that we receive from grants to help create a climate here that's improved and with respect to recycling, but also, again, whether it saves us money, really wanting to create an environment where people are thinking more thoughtfully around textiles and swap and drops and how we can promote getting more bang for our buck out of the items that we have as consumers. I think that's fair to say.
Absolutely. It's an extraordinary committee, and they are incredible communicators and incredible graphics, and we wouldn't be where we are today without them.
Do you want to say anything about the Repair Cafe? Because I'm kind of excited about that. Well, that's a new frontier for us.
Our latest initiative is, you may, if you get our electronic newsletter, you may have seen the survey we sent out a couple weeks ago about Repair Cafe. It's sort of an international trend, but it's fairly new in this particular area, and we are partnering with the Bridge at 211. They're providing us with the space, and we're hoping to do it either in July or September to start. And we're looking for volunteers, especially people who can help us with things like lamp rewiring, things like that. So the concept is you'd have a Saturday morning, you'd sign up possibly in advance to sign up when you get there. There'd be people around the room. Some people would do rewiring, somebody would do computers, some people would help you with sewing, and you'd come in and you'd get your items repaired, so you'd be able to keep them as opposed to throw them in the trash. Some of my committee members and myself spent a day in Stowe about a month ago seeing how the Repair Cafe worked there, and it's pretty extraordinary. And not only is it a great way to not throw things in the trash, but it's an incredible community builder. So I was very impressed from the community it built. So I'm looking forward to
We're looking for tinkerers, right?
Tinkerers are really premium right now, but plenty of sewers, plenty of jewelry repair, plenty of lamp rewiring. It's more like the tinkerers that might be able to help us pull a toaster apart and put it back together, things like that.
I could pull it apart.
Yeah, I could too.
I could definitely do that.
I smash it.
So it's exciting. Looking forward to it.
It's fantastic. If I can just ask a question, that there was, it was in the object code 5780, that was, 3,000 was taken out for the general expenses for events such as.
Yep, so if I'm not mistaken, the recycling expenses that was cut was related to website maintenance. So we reached out to our IT director, who said that he would work with the recycling committee instead of spending the $3,000 to help work on a new website, a hosting website, and taking over that fee as part of the IT budget.
Are there any further questions of committee members? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We now have a full year of service with our new vendor, Waste Management, under our belts. How's it going with the contract? Do you think we'll extend the contract, keep them? And then can you specifically address the repeated requests I put in on getting the toters put back onto the sidewalks rather than dumped out into the street?
Overall, I think they're doing an extraordinary job, and I think that we're lucky we have them. I think the 10-year contract that was approved in general, not only are they responsive, but they're very professional, and they really have helped us. They've been another part of the team that's really helped us reduce the trash and increase recycling. They're really great team members. Your specific request, if it's still going on, I'll need to talk to Bill again, and he has made a couple of staffing changes in particular areas where they don't seem to get the message. So there have been some areas, I know on Webb Street, I had a woman who used to call me every week. She called me this week to say, oh, thank you, they did it correctly this week. So I know Bill's been making some staffing changes if there are still some perpetual problems.
Yeah, it's scattered all over.
Okay.
It was this week, last week, the week before, et cetera. And I think it just should be citywide. Put the bins back on the sidewalk. How much less clear can we get? I've talked to Bill twice. You've talked to him a whole bunch of times. I've emailed you photographs of the same location twice now.
Correct.
Not just one location, the whole street. And they don't hear it. But they are doing a great job, and I love the program. The streets are cleaners. We're recycling more. It's a
We
good,
meet with the drivers quarterly. We bring them all down to DPW. We sit in my office and we just talk about things. And one of the things we talk about, every single time is getting the stuff back where they found it, in the right spot, so that people know where to put it, where to place it. And obviously that's up on the sidewalk, not in the street. So it's kind of a constant thing we reiterate to them.
okay, thank you, it's good to hear.
Thank you. Any further questions from committee members? And let the record reflect that Councillor Lovely left at 9:30. Councillor McCarthy.
So, further discussion, I move that we approve the total trash enterprise personnel in the amount of $95,922.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the trash engineering personnel expenses in the amount of $95,922, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Okay, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you. I further move that we approve trash enterprise expenses, non-personnel expenses in the amount of $3,015,444.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the non-personnel expense item for trash and engineering in the budget in the amount of $3,015,444, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Further move we approve the department total for the amount of $3,111,366.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expenses in the amount of $3,111,366, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those in favor? Favor? We're all favor? Okay. All approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're done.
Hold on.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
We'll meet again tomorrow.
Okay with me?